Gentlemen No Class is proud to be a part of the HC Universal Network. Gentlemen No Class is produced and recorded at M5 Studios and is mixed and edited by Final Curtain Media.
Hey, what a show we have for you guys. Please stick around to the very end of episode 49. I'm telling you, it is a killer episode. But before we get into that, let me talk about Pandemic Tour. Mark your calendars, October 18th, 19th, and 20th, as Pandemic Tour is taking on Houston at the NRG Center. The Gentlemen No Class crew went last year, and it was everything that we expected from a comic/pop culture standpoint and more. And we were thinking, how in the heck are they going to top off last year's guest lineup? And sure enough, they did. So guys, come on out and meet the arguably best Punisher out there. He also did a little stint in The Walking Dead. Yeah, that's right, John Bernthal will be there Saturday and Sunday. Now, for whatever reason, the Punisher is not your jam, and you just don't think that you like all that violence, so shame on you. Go out there and share a tear with Milo from the show This Is Us will be at Pandemic Saturday and Sunday. He is a great actor, and it's a good show. If you have not seen that, just sit down with the family or even with your wife and just hang out. By yourself, if you don't have any of those, it's still a great show. That's what I'm just trying to say. It's a great show. But while you're there, why don't you go stop by Sean Astin, because he will be there too, and just yell at him, quit wheezing the juice, because he likes to wheeze the juice in Encino Man, in case you did not know. Guys like the Avengers, Pandemic got you covered with Sebastian Stan. You'll be there Saturday and Sunday. I'm telling you, Pandemic has flavor for everyone, bringing in guests that range from Harry Potter to Buffy to Game of Thrones, and yes, even the WWE. So get your tickets now so you don't miss out as Pandemic takes on Houston at the NRG Center October 18th through the 20th. All right, guys, so sit back, refill your glasses, and get ready for episode 49.
This podcast contains explicit language and is intended for adult audiences. The views and opinions of Gentlemen No Class are strictly for comedic purposes and should not be taken literally. For instance, like this disclaimer. Now grab yourself a pint and enjoy.
And welcome to another episode of Gentlemen No Class, a podcast where when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro. I'm Rob.
I'm Paul.
I'm Big Josh.
And like it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we are the hosts for tonight's podcast. And joining us tonight, our very esteemed guest, Mr. Mark White. Mark is known more famously for his work playing bass for the Spin Doctors. Mark, how's it going?
Pretty good. Actually, nobody really knows that.
I knew
really?
that.
I'm about to go to Walmart, and I'm going to be able to walk around.
I don't blame you.
Scot-free.
Walmart.
Well, see, you blend in very well, though. So,
Right.
I mean, I can
I'm
see
chill,
that.
baby.
Wow. He blends in at Walmart. That's what we're
I'm
going
just
with.
saying he blends in general. You
Oh,
know what I
okay.
mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he's wearing.
You
he,
went
he
there.
rolled here all black Corvette. You know what I mean? Like he's not sticking
His car.
out. You know
I don't
what
dress
mean?
like a rock star like some of my friends do. You
That's
see them,
stupid.
and you're like, okay, you play music. You can just tell. I'm like, oh, you're a security guard or a driver.
Yeah.
You have to show ID every time you show up to a show to make sure that they they
That's
ask your
happened a few
credentials.
times. That's happened a few. Actually, one of the worst ones that ever happened was in Dallas.
Yep.
And I was
Yeah,
on
there's a
stage. We
reason
were
for that.
I know, right? We were on stage for a half an hour, and I'm just sound checking with the band. Right, we were sound checking, which is rare. We really don't sound check. And I get up the stage, and there's like this big bouncer dude. He says, if you don't have your credentials with you, I can't let you back on the stage. And he was standing there the whole time watching me sound check.
Like you don't know who the fuck I am. Yeah.
But not even that, but I'm sound checking.
I mean, right.
Yeah, like he's in the band. Like
And I was like, so you're going to stop me?
No. Apparently, he thought random audience members were going up there sound checking, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
You got the look, I guess, man. What the fuck?
yeah, or one of your techs or whatever. That
Right.
You got.
So I asked him, I said, you're going to stop me? He was like, I can't let you back on stage unless you have your credentials. So I came back like 10 minutes or 20 minutes later, and he was gone. And there was a cop there. He says, yeah, we fired him.
Damn! Within 20 minutes.
You got somebody fired? Wow, that's awesome.
That happens
Good
all
move.
the time. Dude, I have so many freaking credential stories. It's just unreal. Oh, you know what the worst one was?
Yeah.
The Mick Jagger one.
Oh, let's hear this
That's
one.
a good one. So we were in Brazil. We went on tour with them.
Okay.
Apparently, I don't remember all the dates because I found a booklet the other day. I was like, wow, we went to all these places. I don't remember any of them. I only remember Canada, Miami, and Brazil. So Brazil is the end of the tour. And we haven't even hung out with those guys. Like, you don't meet them. You just go on stage.
Really?
Yeah, you don't.
Nah.
But so finally they come backstage.
Be gone from me.
And we're in this huge stadium, like from the Roman Empire. I mean, that's what it looked like. It was just like this old concrete stadium. And the guy comes back there and he said, hey, you guys want to meet Mick Jagger? And everybody was like, yeah, let's go meet Mick Jagger, right? So we get up. He said, well, you have to put your credentials on. And I've been on the tour with these people for like 2 weeks. Or a month or something.
Probably
I
longer
forgot.
than 2 weeks if you were
right.
already down in Brazil.
Right, we were in Brazil. And they only do a show like a week. Mm-hmm. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
They're
they were
old and shit, right?
Right, they only just, so we were down there for 2 weeks. We did one show in Sao Paulo and the other one in Rio de Janeiro, right?
Oh, okay.
So he's like, you can't go. You got to put your credentials on first. I said, wait a minute. I got to put on my credentials to do what? To meet Mick Jagger? I said, no. I sat right back down. Because I'm just defiant.
Yeah.
I'm a defiant person by nature.
I get that from you.
Right.
I get
I'm
that
defiant.
from you.
And so, not with the police or authority, things like that.
No,
but
no,
just
no.
like my peers can't tell me what to do, right?
Right.
That's a good personality
Yeah.
trait to have.
Right. And so he was like, well, everybody was like, please put that thing on. I said, no, I'm not putting it on. I said, I'm going to sit here. You can go meet Mick Jagger. I'm not putting on nothing. I've been walking around this whole time without that thing on. Now I got to suddenly put it on to meet this guy. Forget it. I'm not doing it.
That's right.
And so
Fuck
he
that
left.
guy.
The guy left, and he comes back. He's okay. You're good.
You tell
course I'm
Mick Jagger
good.
to put his credentials on to meet me.
Yeah, right?
Can't tell me what to do.
You think they give Mick Jagger credentials?
No.
No? Just people know who he is?
Yeah, maybe like an
Probably
emergency
supposed to
button, with some GPS come get me type shit, but not like a.
He's got a
Life alert?
handler, yeah.
He's not walking
a
around with
life
his-
alert.
Yeah,
He's not that
He's
big.
got life alert. He's not walking around with the ID. Can I get some cigarettes?
Yeah.
Type shit. No.
And he's a tiny dude, too. I thought he was taller, but he was...
Most rock stars are like that, though, aren't they? Like they're 5.5 feet tall, something like that.
Hey.
There you go, Paul.
Except for what was the guy? Gene Simmons. That
Oh,
dude's
he's
tall.
tall.
Yeah,
He's like
definitely
6'2",
tall.
6'3", isn't
Yeah,
he?
he's huge.
Kiss
That's
was
a
here
tall
last night. Did you
bastard.
go?
No, I didn't go.
My dad went. He posted up some videos of them playing.
I don't even know where they were playing. Where are you playing at?
I have no
Woodlands,
idea.
I think.
No, they usually play
No?
at Toyota Center because they do all
Yeah.
the inside flying
I've seen them at
stages
the
and stuff
Woodlands
like that. Have you?
Years ago, yeah.
Yeah, they got a lot of shit
Their
coming with
fifth,
them. So they gotta-
their fifth final,
Oh yeah, I saw them on
farewell tour and
one
shit.
of their farewell tours. Yeah,
And it's just Gene and the other guy, right? I mean,
yeah, it's just Gene
Yeah.
and Gene and
Nobody
Paul.
knows.
That's it. Yeah,
Where's
Ace
the-
and Chris are out of the band.
Oh, I didn't know. No, I knew Ace was out for a while. I didn't know.
Yeah, Ace has been out for a while. Yeah, Chris has been out for a
So
while.
why
too.
can't Ace and the other guy have their own Kiss and replace those two guys?
Because
I guess they're not, they don't
do.
draw
They
the
have a
crowd,
side
baby.
project.
because they
The lack of
Smooch.
standing.
well, the contract when they started that band states that Kiss is Kiss. There's 4 members, and you're hired to do a job. And like even Paul and Gene, they're the only ones that own Kiss. Like Chris and Peter Criss and Ace Frehley never owned any part of Kiss. They were just hired.
Contractors?
Yeah, basically, because they always said that like it doesn't matter who's behind the makeup. Like
Right.
it's these characters that we're playing.
Really, I didn't know that.
How are you going to replace Gene Simmons? That would
You're
be
not.
awesome.
That's
what-
exactly
what-
You're
you're
not
just
going to
gonna do
So
replace.
you can
Good luck
replace
getting-
the other two guys.
You're
but
not
you
going to
can't
replace
those
Paul
guys.
Stanley either. I mean, like he's got that very unique voice. You're not going to replace. And I mean, one of the better frontmen of all time of rock and roll. I mean, whether you like their music or not, like he puts
Right.
on a very, very good show. If you've ever seen him, so
That's fantastic that you can't replace two guys, but the other two guys you can.
yeah,
They're in a side project called
They'd be like
Smooch.
two. Or they could just go to another country. Nobody would know, right?
There
Nobody
you
would.
go.
No,
Start
France.
all over.
No, yeah.
they could just do new makeup and do a whole.
Well, that's the whole
different
point
band.
too. Like that makeup, nobody fucking knows what Rarely what they
Exactly.
look like without it. So go for it. Go
Yeah,
for it.
and
You know
so-
what's scary? You
I
know
can
what's
start all over here.
You know what's scary? I'm 57 years old.
Come on.
And I remember those guys when I was like 15. So what? So they must have been 15 too at the time.
Yeah.
that Hugh Gro-
You want to
that-
know something? You're my dad's age. Dead
Yeah,
serious.
really?
When I was going,
my dad.
My dad's
So
older.
I'm 36. So my dad's 57 or
Right.
56. Yeah.
when these kids when we were kids, all the white kids had like the Kiss jackets on with the paintings on the back.
Yeah,
I had my
bruh.
friend, his Pan, this dude from Greece.
Pan, P-A-N?
Well, we couldn't say his whole name.
Okay,
so that was the
short.
thing back in the day when you
Nicknames.
had Greek friends. You couldn't say their whole name, so you had to shorten it.
I think I had one Greek friend. Yeah, his last name was pretty damn long. So
I had a bunch of Greek friends, and they all had like one names: Pan, Tassis. Oh, Tassis, for instance, that was his last name. His first name was Athanasius, so I couldn't pronounce that, so we just called him Tassis. So I went to his house one day, and I was like, "Hello, is Tassis home?" And his mom was like, "What?" She was looking at me like crazy. And then that's when I learned that was his last name. So then we had to change it to Tony because nobody could pronounce it.
I just gave it, hey, you're Tony.
Right.
So
That's it.
This was in New York,
Right, this is in New York.
So you grew up in New York. So
Right.
what part of New York did you grow
Bronx.
up in? In the Bronx?
And then I went to Queens.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Bronx was interesting. Like, I just want to, Pan was this great artist, so he would just draw these acrylic jacket, on the back of your jacket,
Yeah.
which is the Kiss faces and stuff. And I remember everybody was screaming or crying or flipping out. They were trying to figure out who these guys were. That was like a big thing for all the white kids back then. Like, who's
that guy?
Who's behind those?
Oh, who's
Kiss?
behind the
Who's behind the
Oh,
makeup?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
because-
right.
Knights
Yeah, that was
and
like
Satan.
So I remember
services.
all of that, and now I'm 57, and these guys are still playing.
Yeah.
Human growth hormone, man.
And
That's that HGH.
And you know what else is funny too? We did a show in the Hollywood Bowl, and Gene Simmons came backstage.
Oh, man.
And he was sitting back there, and I was like, "Are you kidding?"
Like, how does he get back there? He's just like, I'm Gene Simmons. I'm
I
going to
just
be
couldn't
back
believe
here.
he was. I said, "What are you doing here?" And he was like,
Yeah.
"Came to check you guys out." I said, "I can't believe that Gene Simmons actually came to check out the Spin Doctors."
Hell yeah.
So, growing up in New York, you're a lefty. So
Right.
I'm a bass player,
right.
obviously. So, you can look around and see. But I mean, did you, when growing up and like learning, did you gravitate towards bass instantly? And was it hard, like being a lefty, like
No,
learning how to play?
I didn't know what I was doing. I just went to my friend's house. He played drums, and the girls were going crazy.
For the
So I-
drums.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I decided I should play an instrument, hook up with some women,
Amen.
You
Hey,
picked
some teenagers.
the worst instrument.
'Cause I'm a
unfortunately.
teenager.
You bite your tongue, sir.
Actually, I did really
Well,
well.
I'm just the
I
thing
did
is,
really well,
bass
my
players.
friend. Just so you know.
Bass player.
You know how people always say you're a bass player and
That's
like
a-
you don't get
that-
shit.
that's
I'm
why-
not saying that's not true. I just hear that all the fucking
That's
time.
for rock and roll, but for funk, it's different.
Yeah.
The funk.
Yeah,
okay.
for funk, it's different.
That makes
and,
sense.
And a good bass player will always be working.
That's right.
Always be working.
Yeah.
And I was playing funk, so I was getting lots.
That's true. There's not many
It
of
was
them.
it was awesome back in the day. So anyway, the reason why I played left-handed was because, first of all, I didn't even know there was a difference between a guitar and a bass. So
I didn't either when I started.
So I
playing.
just got.
I
a
started
Sears-
on guitar. Yeah,
I got a Sears catalog, and I just got a guitar because it looked like it had more stuff on it. And then I started just playing the low string. And my friend was like, the guy who played drums, you should get a bass. And I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, well, there's another one. There's a thing called a bass. So I just, all right. So my mother gave me $100. And Tassis, my Greek friend, went down there with me. And the one thing he did, because I was already left-handed, unfortunately, the one thing he did before I even touched that bass was he switched the strings around. So I didn't have to play all goofy backwards.
Good man.
nice.
Yeah.
So
Good
bought a
man.
right-handed bass.
I bought a right-handed bass, and we went back to the Bronx. I was already living in Queens. We went back to the Bronx, and because they were all playing music unbeknownst to me.
Yeah,
And so when I went back to his house, they switched the strings around.
nice.
And it was, from there on, it was just like a nightmare. Because, like, I didn't even know you had to tune it.
Maintenance.
All this shit. I
all
thought you
this-
just played it,
I
man.
just played it, right? So
yeah.
I called up Tassis one day. I said, check this out. And I'm playing the bass. And he was like, is that thing tuned? I'm like, what are you talking about? What is that? He says, you got to tune it. He took him 10 minutes to explain this to me, that the strings have to be in tune with each other. Like, I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. Literally nothing.
When I started playing guitar, my dad's a drummer, so like I'm in a cover band, and so my dad's a drummer, and he plays drums in my cover band.
Oh, nice.
So when I started playing guitar, he bought me my first guitar when I was 15 or 16 years old, and I couldn't tune. Like, he was like, "Here's a pitch pipe and your guitar, you have to tune it." And I was like, I can't. I'm fucking stone deaf. I can't fucking tune this.
I had to
thing.
get lunch money from you,
I
bro.
had-
I'm not fixing to do
I had to give my guitar to my drummer father so that he could use the pitch pipes to tune it. And like, here, look, he'd be like, look, you hear how this note sounds just like this note when you push on this fret? I'm like, no. He goes, or you hear how it's higher or lower? Then you got to turn this and make sure that it's. I'm like, I'm just going to bring it to you every couple of days as I'm practicing. You can
I
tune
had
it.
to call this guy up every day. He would tune the bass for me over the phone. And then I finally got a tuning fork, and then I tried to figure it out. But that was a huge. I almost gave up.
Because of that?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot easier now with electronic tuners. And
I still
you know.
tune by ear now. I don't use those things too much.
Yeah.
I mean, I got one on my iPhone, but it's so super sensitive that you don't even know if you're in tune or not anymore. So I just tune one string. Normally, I'll play a song, like Two Princes, I'll play it on and I'll match the note to that, and then I'll know and I'll just tune the rest of the strings if I'm in my house. But when I'm on tour, I have a dude who does that for me.
Yeah.
I don't do anything.
If you ever need to
Nice.
replace that, if you ever need to replace that guy,
Nice.
Nah,
you just call me.
not you.
I haven't
I'll
lifted
do
it.
that.
The worst bass player ever known.
The only thing
Don't
I have to
look
do
for
is lift my bass onto my shoulders and start playing it. I haven't lifted an amp or nothing. I can't believe it. It's like it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I would love that.
No loading in?
I when we play, I run the PA and play bass and sing, so I got to haul all that shit with me.
I don't do nothing, and I used to do it all. I used to carry an amp in a head like a half a mile to the train station, and then take it on the train with my bass, and then take it off the train, and then play all night, make a token, and then go home and do
Fuck.
Make a subway token.
Right.
That's it.
One time I asked I was in this band, the band I met Aaron in, called Spade. It was all black band, but we decided to get another drummer, so we got Aaron. So Aaron's in the band, and I did the show, and Marcus, our leader, had a car. I said, "Can you drive me home?" He's like, "Arr." Yeah, station wagon. I said, "Well, can you at least give me 10 or 20 bucks so I can take the?" Arr. So I had to take the train back with all that stuff. And so they called me up next week, and they was like, "Where are you?" I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "We're rehearsing. Where are you?" I said, "Oh, I quit." He says, "What?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Good luck trying to find a bass player that plays like me that's going to do a gig for a token. It's not going to happen." I said, "If Marcus had drove me home, I would still be in the band. But since he didn't drive me home, I quit." I mean, that's ridiculous, right?
That is.
That is ridiculous. I mean, and we can get into all that kind of stuff later. But
Where's Marcus now?
yeah, what's Marcus
I
up
don't know
to
what he's
now?
doing, but he was, let me tell you something. That guy was amazing. He was one of the best leaders I've ever played with. Like leads, he just couldn't appreciate what he was. That's a lot of musicians. They don't just appreciate what they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met a lot of them like that
You know,
too.
they just usually I start screaming at them right away.
So you're in New York.
Mm-hmm.
What year is it when you meet? You get with Aaron, and his name escapes me. With the rest of the guys from the Spin Doctors.
89. Well, I met Aaron first. That's in
Right.
Spade, right? I met Aaron in Spade, and then 89 was when they got me in Spin Doctors.
Was there already
88,
was there already a band when you joined?
Yeah, they already had like a couple. They already went through some bass players.
Oh,
when they
okay.
joined.
So like you were they had gone through a couple of bass players. Had they already written a bunch of material at that point?
Yep. I had to learn 30 songs in like a week.
Ooh,
Oh shit!
man.
And
Sounds
the
familiar.
thing about that band was like they were really hesitant with me because Aaron was already hanging out with me, and he knew I was a real asshole. So he was really didn't know how I would fit in with those guys.
like to mesh with the rest of
Right.
the band.
But I'm usually an asshole when people are just not doing their job. You know, that's just the way I am. I'm a chill person. I'm really nice to everybody. But if you're trying to get over or you're being slick or something like that, I'm just going to call you out. Because I'm from New York. That's what we do.
Yeah, that's
That's what you do.
fair enough. So 88, 89, you joined the Spin Doctors.
30 years ago.
How long, what was the road like from when you joined to the time you, and I don't know the story of like y'all getting signed and going in to record Pocket Full of Kryptonite. Like, what was that time span look like? Because that's always, origin
couple
stories are
years.
always my like,
Yeah, because that was 91, right?
Yeah, it was like a couple years, but it was like a dream. You got to remember, I'm in
So
New York
fast?
City. Yeah, it happened so fast. I'm in New York City. I'm already 27, I think, and I've been playing since I was 15. I hit the scene when I was 18, and it was just up and down, dealing with stuff. And like there was this one recording studio I used to go into with all these various bands because I was in like 20 bands.
yeah.
And they had like all these gold records up on the wall, and I saw the gold records, and to me it was just like, well, going to the moon. And there's no chance I'm going to the moon, right? There's no chance I'm getting one of those things. They just look all all nice and stuff. And next thing I know, 2 years later,
There you are
and I couldn't even believe
on Sesame Street.
And I remember when the guy wanted to sign us. That was much later. I know when the guy wanted to sign us, I was like, "What are you talking about?"
So going in, you're playing through all the bars. Are you playing in multiple bands, or are the Spin Doctors keeping you so busy at that
No,
time?
at first I was. and then I stopped. I quit all those bands because I wasn't making any money with anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I had to.
That's the story of a musician's life.
Well, in the beginning, I had a friend named Tony. He was making money. He said to me, you got to start charging people. So I did, and then my phone stopped ringing for like 6 months.
Oh shit!
And then I got back in this, and when I got back into the whole flow of things, that's when I met Aaron, and I got that was the one band I was still doing stuff for free was Spade. You know, but they wanted me to pay for rehearsals, which I refused to do. So that was a big thing.
They wanted you to pay for rehearsals?
They wanted everybody to pay for rehearsals because I remember Marcus was like giving me the list. Do you mind jumping around on stage? No. Do you mind wearing funky clothes? And I was like, no. Do you mind that I write all the songs? And I was like, no. Do you have a problem with paying for rehearsal? I said, yes. Since you write all the songs, you should pay for rehearsal. So that came to an end right away. And I didn't get a call from them for like 2 weeks later because they couldn't find anybody else.
Yeah.
Because I was playing at a really high level at that time, but I was still below like my friend Tony. He was like on another high level. So you couldn't really find anybody that played like me that was going to do it for free.
Yeah.
I knew cats that played like me, but they were all making money. And I was just, I was a baby. I was still trying to get in there.
Yeah, and that's always, I mean, especially in New York, it's got to be tough.
Right.
It's super saturated with the whole market.
Right.
So going into like, where did y'all record Pocket Full of Kryptonite? Was it in multiple
it was.
studios?
Like Two Princes was recorded in the Power Station. And we had Frank Averso on there, and that's the reason why it was a big hit. Because that dude just knew what he was doing. He just did everything right.
Yeah.
And the rest of it was recorded in RPM.
Okay.
All these places are gone.
Yeah, they're gone now.
Yeah, you know?
That was
Crazy.
my dad's gonna kill me if I don't ask you this question since he's a drummer, because he's always commented that the drum sound on Two Princes is the best sounding recorded drums, especially snare and kick together. That he thinks that's like tits, like the absolute. Like, was that intentional? Was that something that
was Frank Aversa? That's all I can tell you.
That his secret formula, whatever
he
did.
He was just a great producer, man. He went in there and I don't know what to tell you, but it was just like I wasn't even paying attention half the time. You know? So I'm just doing the bass. And remember I'm the bass player, so I get my stuff done right away.
Yeah.
Those guys take forever and they nitpick things. I don't really, I'm just a bass player.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, just personally, band. Like, I like your playing is just like for me, and it's hard to vocalize, like, but like you're a really tasty bass player.
Thank you.
As far as bass players, like just from another bass player, it's like the way you sit and play, like in the pocket and everything, like you have that slap funk feel to everything, but it's not overwhelming. You know what I mean? It's not in your face.
You know why?
It's just right there where it should be.
You know why? Because
please do tell.
When you play anything but that, and you're like in a black band or anything, you'll get beat up.
Really?
Nobody wants to hear that. If you don't have good time, like I grew up with like people screaming at you. I was in the studio once with this old black dude, and we were playing a ballad, and he was singing, and he just stopped singing. He looked at me and said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What?" He said, "You're choking the notes." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You got to let the notes ring out." And then it's like, so he took the bass from me. He's like, all the notes are linked, all the whole length of between the one and the snare drum, you let the note ring out. I was just going boom, boom, just choking it, he called it. And so, believe it or not.
Staccato, maybe?
Yeah, staccato.
Yeah.
Exactly. Believe it or not, that was hard for me to learn not to do.
Really?
Like I had to teach myself how to keep the notes down.
Really?
Yeah, because I wasn't used to it. I was
Right.
just like,
That's not how you learn,
But this is
right.
what I'm talking about. These people used to call you out, like right on the spot. Like my friends would be
That's
like,
good. That's how you learn.
That's right,
Yeah.
exactly. But
It
they weren't
shaped
nice
you.
about it. Like, they're like, what the hell's wrong with you? That kind of thing.
You're killing the fucking song, dude.
Right, you're killing the song. Or it's like, or you're slapping. Slapping was like, I learned how to keep the low notes down and pluck like staccato notes. So it's almost like they're both at the same time. Where it's opposed where, if you do it the other way, it's like you choke the low note and you keep the high note going longer, and everybody hates that.
Really? Okay, so I
you're
gotta
looking
stop doing that.
Right, so you're looking at...
Stop doing that, Rob.
Right, so it's more like you just keeping the low note down. But that's how it is. I mean,
Yeah.
people have ruined slap. So, I mean, Aaron loves the way I slap, which he hates it. So that's good. He absolutely
He
hates
loves the way you slap, but he
Right.
hates slap in general.
Right, he hates it in general. Yeah.
So like Victor
Oh, that's
Wooten
good.
style, like
He can't listen to that.
Have you ever listened to? Have you ever heard read Victor Wooten's his book that he wrote?
I have to read that book. Is it on audio? Because I can't.
Yeah.
read it.
Oh, yeah. I didn't read it. I listened to it.
Oh yeah, thank God. Is he narrating it?
No, somebody else narrates it.
Bunch of butthead.
You don't
What a
want to listen
tease,
to it
right?
if Victor's narrating it.
I
but
like his voice.
him and his brother recorded all the music for it, or
Right.
most of the music for it. I don't know if all of it.
Oh, you mean the music is in the book?
It's
Get out!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
it's
might be seeing
on
him
the
in
audio. The audio book, like it has it like in between songs and stuff, like in between chapters and stuff. It's like him and Reggie, whatever.
Oh
jamming
man, that's
and stuff.
awesome. I just
It's
hung out with
pretty
him the other
cool.
day. I mean, the last time he was here. You know, I
Really?
sat in with him, and he asked me to sit in with him in when he was playing down in I don't know, down there somewhere, Clear Lake or whatever. And I brought my bass and I sat in with him.
Nice.
And the funny thing is that there was a singer. She was amazing. I wish I could remember her name, but she said to me, "Wow, you really, most guys come up here and they just flip out and they're all over the place, but you were like really nice and tasteful and
Yeah,
you didn't
that's
do your."
one
But
of
then
my-
my friends were in the audience. They was like, "Why didn't you play more? You do so much more stuff. Why didn't you do more?" And I was like, "You see, that's why he asked me to play and not you."
Exactly.
There you go.
Like I said, like it's from a bass player's perspective, it's like it's always just so tasty. It's just so tasty. Like especially like on songs like I mean, Two Princes is obviously like everybody knows y'all for that song, but like one of my favorite songs on that album is Little Miss Can't Be Wrong.
Right.
And like your bass lines on that song, I mean, they just sit so well in that song. They're so good.
I was copying Prince on that bass line.
Were you?
Yep. Because the Minneapolis slap is different than where I grew up. Like their pops come in weird spots. I was trying to do that. So when Little Miss Can't Be Wrong, when we wrote that, they had already wrote the whole thing, and they just came to me right before a show and said, "Hey, we got this new song. Here's the chord changes." And so I just played it that night.
And that's the way you recorded it? Like that's
Yeah.
just the way it was? It didn't get changed after that?
Yeah, no. Just like Aaron just said, dun, 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 and I just started playing.
Nice.
And we were that's how we were, man. It's almost like we just jump into stuff. And I never really did that with other bands before. Like I was in this one band and the drummer gets a drum solo and then halfway he stops. I'm like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I got to work this out." I said, "What are you talking about? That's what a drum solo, you just do it now. You mean to tell me you have to go home and work out a drum solo and you're going to come back next week and you're going to have it down? Are you insane?"
Improv, yeah.
Do it now.
Nobody improvs solos anymore. They all
it's
prep
a
them
re-
ahead of time.
Then that's
I
not a
improv.
solo,
Every
then.
single one of my solos is improv.
And they're fucking great.
I'm usually improving all the bass lines on stage. Like I'm always looking for something new to do.
I play a lot. I play with some country Americana artists also, and like that's why I like doing that. Is because I can improv a lot. Like
Right.
I don't have to play what they played on the record.
Right.
Because I can't play like those studio guys. You know what I mean? But I can
Right.
keep it interesting, and it's not just the same.
Well, you're an
like-
artist. You've got to be
Yeah.
able to, every person who's born is an artist, and you can express yourself in any way you want. That's how it
Yeah.
should be. And some people are always, they're nervous or they're scared, but, anybody can pick up a pencil and draw. You officially are an artist. If you pick up, like a piano is the easiest instrument for anybody to play. So if you
I
start writing
disagree
stuff,
with that.
no, it's true though. I mean, you don't necessarily have to like it, but people are still expressing themselves.
I mean, I love piano. I've
Right.
tried to learn how to play piano, and I can't do it. Maybe if I had lessons, I don't know. But like
Well, if it's
one
not
of the-
for you, it's not for you too. Some
yeah,
instruments.
that's true. Also.
You know what else I did when I was in New York City? I played in avant-garde bands. Now that's something.
That's tough. David Lynch style.
It's like that. Those bands are. I was with this one band, and this guy he played every instrument, and he made up this bass line. I was like, do 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 do. I actually had to go home and learn how to do it. Like I couldn't physically play that bass line when he first showed it to me.
Wow.
Well, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's like that out there now, like digital recording and stuff like that. They'll do multiple bass tracks. It'll have, like a good example of that is CeeLo Green's "Forget You." That bass solo, like in the bridge at the end of it. Like when I was trying to learn how to play that, I was listening to it and I was like, he's playing multiple places at the same time. There's no way you can play it like that. And I went and I had to go look up a YouTube video, and this guy was like, yeah, this is two different lines. Like he played one line and then played over the top of it. I was like, well, no wonder it's so fucking hard.
Wait,
Right.
is it? I mean, was it bass or was it like a
Yeah, it
MIDI
was bass.
controller?
No, it was
Okay, never
bass.
mind.
Yeah, it wasn't the Seinfeld theme.
Yeah,
That ruined That ruined all my dreams when I started playing bass and learned that was all a MIDI controller and not a real bass.
Yeah, I mean, how you did not know that is beyond me.
I wasn't very good
Going from-
at picking
I
stuff out.
still argue with people about that. It's like, are you a doofus? You know that's not a real bass. It's got the little guy going in between it.
Yeah, those little, I don't know, those filters at the end or whatever, it just sounds hilarious. It's the popping.
Yeah, I watched. I saw an interview with that guy, Mark Wolf or whatever his name is, and he was playing it like how he composed it, and I was like, "That's what ruined that whole thing for me."
Because he saw how it was composed.
Yeah, that was probably 15 years ago or something like that. It was some interview on like
Too bad.
on the news or something. I was like, "Oh my god, that sucks." I was really like, I wanted to know who recorded that. You know, that would have been really cool to know.
This is kind of random, though,
The
Mark.
second I heard it, I knew it.
Well, that's why you're you and I'm me.
I was going to ask, you said you grew up in Queens?
Right.
Did they pronounce Houston as Houston down there?
Not really.
Not really? Have you heard
we
it
have a
pronounced?
house in street.
Okay, it's not Houston, though, right?
No, it's Houston.
It's Houston.
But,
Okay.
but here, come on. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know.
You
'cause
go to Humble, right? You say, hey.
Humble.
And it's like, no, what's wrong with you? It's
Humble.
I said, what are you talking about? It's not humble, it's humble.
Yeah.
I said, Washington is Houston then.
Yeah,
I live in Houston.
Houston.
Yeah.
Or
What is wrong with you people?
You live off of Kirkendall. There's no R in there.
Oh, you know what? I had a problem with
Westheimer?
Pearland or Pearland or whatever one is. When I first
Yeah.
moved down here, I kept saying Pearland. No, it's Pearland. What's wrong with you?
Those snooty.
Technically,
people,
yeah.
And then I was living
Yeah.
in Katy. When I first moved here, I lived in Katy. And that place is unbelievable, man. It's just like,
Now, yeah.
and then so I started calling it Kete.
Kete.
That's those people over in Cinco Ranch. Those are Cinco Ranch. people.
That's where I was living.
Hoity-toities?
Yeah,
that's
the
those
hoity-toities
mansions
and
of Katy.
hoity-toities.
I actually miss it, man. I went back there. I was going to move back there because I'm downtown now.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to move back to Kete.
Kete.
And I get
Know
over
the
there, and it's like New
woodlands.
York City. It's
Yep.
so much traffic,
Oh, yeah.
and there's so much going on.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't deal with this. I'm
No,
going back
that
down
It's a
there.
population
part of
size of
Houston-
Pittsburgh.
It's really packed.
Really congested part of Houston is from like Katy and like from I-10, like parallel to from Katy to like I think Galleria area,
Right.
Like that whole area is just really the most congested part of Houston.
And then you go down to Sugarland. That's a nightmare. Like,
Yeah, that's
always
just
a
as
nightmare.
bad, too.
You can only go down there at like 12 o'clock,
on a Sunday.
and then you can drive. When
And
I
it's
first
fucked
moved,
during the week. I've been there plenty of times lately.
I moved out to Katy in 2000, and it was such a beautiful place, man. There was nobody around.
Oh
and-
yeah.
Oh, all rice fields back then.
Yeah, it was all
just
all
coming
right.
up.
Yeah.
My house has just got my house just got built,
Wasn't that a bill? Yeah.
and I had to deal with all the nonsense of the house being built for the first time because I didn't know what I was doing.
Was that when you first came in the Houston area, or how long you been in the Houston area?
That was when I first moved here.
Is that okay? That's
So
when you first
what?
moved down here. Okay.
That's the big question. That's what made you move to Houston.
A shotgun.
Really?
You can't have a house with a shotgun in New York City, so this is why I wanted a house. There's no way I'm going to live in a house and I'm not going to be unarmed.
Amen.
I mean, you got to be out of your freaking mind.
But I mean, you just moved to Houston blindly, and we're just like, okay, I'm
my
in
father
Houston
was living
now.
here. My father was living
Oh,
here.
okay. So
but I
that's-
came down here. We did a show down here, and I liked it. You know, I came down here, and
It's the greatest city in Texas,
I
man.
love
I've
it,
said
man.
it
I'm
multiple times.
Really underrated too.
Yeah,
And
it
the
really
and the
is.
shotguns.
right.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's a big part of it.
you know, I went and bought an AR-15 at the academy, and there was a police officer standing right next to him. He was like,
Woo!
"Excellent choice." I was like, "Damn, did you
Excellent
just say
I'm in
choice.
the right place. He said, I
You
made
would
it.
expect that in New York,
I know,
don't
right?
He said, I made it.
Get on the floor."
you?
I've got that same model. I'll send you a website with some good upgrades for it. You know?
Right.
You want some extra mags? I got them in the truck.
I mean, you guys aren't going to believe this. When I first moved down here, we got pulled over. I was married at the time, me and my wife. And the guy goes, "Oh," he's looking at us. And he's like, "Oh, where are you guys from?" He's looking at. I bought my first Corvette, right? So he had to look down. He's looking at me.
Of course.
And then he looks up and he goes, "Do me a favor." And I was like, "What?" "Get a gun and learn how to use it." That's what the officer. And
Nice.
he wasn't the only one that told me that. Another one told me
Really?
the same thing. Yeah, he said, "Get a gun and learn how to use it." And I was like, "Damn, they don't play around down here, man.
No,
this is
sir.
like, I love it down here."
No, this is
Oh,
this
that's beautiful.
Is,
God's
like Donald
country
Glover
down
says,
here.
this is America. This is what
God's
it should
country
be.
down here.
Yeah, I
Hell
love
yeah.
it down here, man.
This is God's
I
country.
love it. It's to me, it's like, you know, I go back up to New York, and all I want to do is kill myself. That's like, maybe I could just kill myself right now and block traffic even more than it's blocked right now.
I feel you. So
It's
just
so bad.
the company that I work for, and we don't talk about company names because I've almost
air.
gotten in trouble a couple of times, but I'll tell you off air. But I work for a very liberal-minded company based out of California in the Bay Area,
Right.
And so I've had to go there multiple times for work, and like talking to the guys that live there, like they're like, we'll bring them here and show them like, hey, like we're working, like, hey, here's this house, like, how much do you think that house is, bro? I'm like, oh, I don't know. In San Francisco, that's an $800,000 house. I was like, that's like a $170,000 house right there. And you can have all the guns you want and all the ammo and all whatever you want,
Right.
Whatever you want in there. And like the guys are like, I think I've convinced 3 or 4 of them to move to Texas.
Oh, just tell them don't bring their certain views with them, please.
I've got some friends from Texas who will remain nameless, who went out to California and got their asses kicked.
Ooh,
And had to come back
come on.
because it's too much work. It's just expensive.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
man,
Oh,
having a car that doesn't
get you for anything out there.
Oh my god! Like if you have an old car in California, I mean they tax the shit out of you for everything.
A buddy of mine who was living in San Francisco, what did it for him after so many things that was just killing him on money was is registering his car.
Yeah.
It was like $1,500 a year.
$1,500 a year.
Damn.
I pay $85.
Yeah, that's
I just paid $25 to renew my license.
Bam.
Yeah, that's what I did too.
Texas, baby.
It's so easy down here. People don't realize. I had no driver's license when I moved here. Right, I'm 37 years old.
Damn.
So I go to
New York.
I'm in Katy, right? So I go out to the driver's ed out
Catay?
there, Catay, right? Thank you for correcting me.
Much love.
So I go out there, and she says, I said, "Excuse me, but can I have the booklet so I can study for the driver's test?" She said, "You don't need that. Sit down." I said, "What are you talking about? I just want a book." She said, "No, just sit down. I'll give you a test right now."
Beautiful people.
I said, "Come on." She says, so I sat down, I took the test, and I passed.
Yeah.
And she goes, "It's too bad you didn't come sooner because they're not going to take me out for the road test." I said, "What are you talking about?"
Man, you
So then
missed out.
Right, so then I come
You
back.
could have hit that and been helping all of us at the DMV.
So I waited a week. Right?
Yeah.
Because I could have came back the next day. Sure. But I waited a week. I had to, you know what I had to do? I had to practice driving with both hands on the steering wheel. Because I was already driving with just one hand, right? So then I come
took my
back.
driver's test with one hand.
So then I come back, and all I had to do was make 4 rights.
Yeah.
And she said, "You pass."
Yeah. You got more than 4 teeth.
And then I got, and then I got my driver's license. And I was thinking, in New York City, it would take months before you get that actual thing in your hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People don't realize, like down here, it is so because everybody just wants to chill. And you know what? Another thing people don't realize too, in New York City, if you're not legal or like something is wrong, you're walking.
Yeah.
Down here, I didn't have my registration. I didn't know what I was doing. Cop pulled me over. First of all, it was at night, and he was on the other side of the road, so I don't even know how he even saw that.
There's no way.
Right?
Yeah,
He
there's
turned
no
around
way.
and got me, and he was like, and I was like, "Oh man, I forgot all about that. I didn't know anything." And he's like, "I'll just take care of it," and that's it.
Yeah.
No federal case, no getting.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna tell you.
We're pretty laid back down here.
I got
We like it
a
like
story
that.
for you. So I got a barbecue pit on a trailer. And I went to Harris County, and I said, "Look, I got to get this thing registered. I'm going to drive with this thing." They said, "Okay, we got to have a DPS officer walk all around it, all this bullshit." I said, "You know what? Nah." Went to Orange, Texas. My buddy registered it in my name for like $70, and I got the paperwork later on in the mail. She was beautiful.
It's
It was
simple.
fantastic. It's simple.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
When I get my driver's license, I go up to Hempstead. When I got to do something, I just drive up there.
Yeah, you got to go somewhere. You got to go somewhere else. But
Oh,
yeah.
see, I mean, I didn't do that. I went to the driver's license station off of like North Houston, Roslyn, like the big DMV. Hey,
Yeah,
you go
there's
on,
multiple though.
dude. You
Yeah.
go online, you make an appointment. They tell you what time to show up. I showed up. I checked in, sat down for 5 minutes, walked to a desk, took a picture, handed them some money, walked out.
Man.
Done.
Yeah.
We are so lucky to be down here.
Yeah.
I know.
It's the greatest.
What a time to
thing
be alive,
ever.
too.
And you're
Yeah.
not living in a cesspool city.
Yeah.
Like
You're
my
not
friends always like, "You should
anxiety
move back to
ridden.
New York," and I was like, "I would rather live in an elephant's ass."
Yeah.
That's bad.
I am never living back in that disgusting city. I hate it.
Too many
And I have no
people.
problem dissing it. You know, I grew up there because I remember New York City was kind of racist when I was growing up, but it was still much better than it is now. Right. You know, it was cleaner. It was like, well, not so much what it was cleaner, but it was just funkier. You know,
Less
Like-
gentrified.
right? So now we have bus lanes, 2 bus lanes, not 1 bus lane, 2 bus lanes.
You guys got no
And then we have
lanes
bike
at home.
lane. We got a bike lane, and you know what they're trying to do downtown Houston because we have that I don't even know what
Metro,
that dude is. What's
the
that
bike
good?
share
Metro
service
Rail,
or
or-
whatever
Oh,
it
man,
is.
he is getting on my nerves now. Turner. I got to vote for the first time. I
Mr. Turner.
got to get somebody else in there because, I mean, he hasn't fixed anything.
Right.
I mean, Richmond
No.
still sucks.
Won't
All
pay
the
the
roads still
firefighters.
sucks.
Won't pay
Yeah.
the firefighters. Come
But
on.
now they want to put in this rapid. You know what they want to do? They want to get you out of your car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they want. They want everybody to take the bus, that pathetic train. No, I want to drive myself. I mean, because Houston's not a city that you can just put down mass transit.
No, it's huge as fuck.
No,
Yeah.
you can't do it. And it's too late. You should have did that in the beginning.
Yeah, the infrastructure is
It's
not
the
there.
city's too young. And, and it's the same thing with that bullet train we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
So, Brady,
Yeah, let's hit us with that.
Come
I'm
on.
going to tell you right now.
Come on.
I thought the bullet train was going to leave downtown Houston and go straight into downtown Dallas.
It's not.
And then that's what I said. That makes a lot of sense because I would even do that, right? I just want to go. There's a fish place up there I like, right? I could just take 90 minutes to get up there.
90 minutes, yeah,
Right.
if that's
But
what it was.
no, you got to drive all the way out to Brookshire,
Yep.
Brookshire, whatever you call
Damn,
it.
However
Sure.
it's pronounced.
It's
Brookshire.
it's with
Park
an
your
eye.
car.
Sure, yeah.
Park your
Brookshire.
car, wait for the train. And I was like, you doofuses. Who's going to do that? The train should be downtown Houston.
Yeah.
That's it. And it should leave downtown Houston and go straight to downtown Dallas.
Yeah, just like the Vaughn Lane does. I mean, I take that for work. I mean, it's
How are you going to put that thing out in the Brooks? I mean, what are they thinking?
downtown.
I think it was land available.
That's
because
no
there's,
excuse.
There's a lot of red tape.
They can just run it right along 45.
No, I'm with you.
I mean, it makes sense.
They could build it above 45, yeah.
Oh, the other problem is this whole 90-minute thing was never really going to happen anyway because it may have started at 90 minutes, but then you moved it out to Brookshire. And then you have stops that they want to create along the way. So it's not...
I didn't
just
hear
a-
stops.
Yeah, they're stops.
Well, I thought that they were talking about doing multiple runs. So you could do the express, which is 90 minutes, but then they have...
I'm sure there's a version
during
of that.
during
yeah.
the day, they would do stops.
The only time
yeah,
that thing
I'm sure
should
there's a
stop is in
version.
Houston and in Dallas. That's
Right.
the only time that thing should stop.
I think it
No,
should
I'm with
stop
you.
in Madisonville just for a quick Buc-ee's trip and then back on the road.
Or they should put a Buc-ee's on the train.
There you go.
There you go. This man
Problems.
for Houston mayor.
I put the Buc-ee's right on the train. Forget
There you
it.
go.
I took the bullet train when I was in Japan, and I'm going to tell you, it's like flying on the ground.
It's pretty awesome.
It's almost
from
like
what
when
I
I'm
hear.
driving. It's the same thing. It's just you're just flying.
You're just and it's no vibration or anything. And like apparently, like the safety record of the bullet trains is like top notch. I mean, like they don't, and that's the same companies that build those is the companies that they were contracting to come over here and design and build the bullet train that they want to put in here.
It's got to be above ground. That's the first thing because that
Yeah.
one in Japan is mostly above ground. It's like on this track.
Yeah,
Like a Hot Wheels track.
it's maglev,
And
yeah.
it just no, not this one. This one I think it's just wheels. But it's just as you see, you can't have a train doing 130 miles an hour and then there's a crossing.
No.
There's no crossings.
Oh no,
No.
it doesn't slow down. You don't stop.
what I'm saying is like nobody's driving in front of it.
Yeah,
Right.
no.
It's not going over roads or anything. It's completely isolated. And if you don't have that, then you don't have anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's got to be like that.
Yeah.
And so who's going to spend all that kind of money? You know what they should do is what they're doing right now, which is what I'm very happy about, is that they're widening 45 from here to Dallas. So like it's 3 lanes now most of the way.
Oh, you're talking
Yeah.
about the outskirts, like when you go past
When you get
on the
past-
outside city limits or in Conroe, or
Right. It's they're widening it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They are,
I
yeah.
did.
Yeah, when
see
you
that.
hit when
And
you hit
it's 75
Huntsville
miles
and
an hour. So it's beautiful. And it's got, there's a Buc-ee's. I think there's 2 now on there.
Yep.
And so you're great. Believe me, let me tell you something, man. I see that Buc-ee's. I saw that big, goofy little thing. I'm like, what is
bastard.
wrong with these people, right? And then one day I went in there and I was like, damn, this is the greatest place on earth.
Oh, it's like
That's so much
it's like
shit.
heaven in the middle of nowhere. It's
It
so
really
great.
is. Everything is always fresh, which is
Yeah.
what unbelievable for me. It's like I
Yeah.
always going in. I was like, oh my god, this place is.
Middle of the night, fresh food.
Right.
Oh, clean bathrooms too.
Because
Your
I'm
own
always on the
stalls,
road, right? So
Yeah.
I stop at every single Buc-ee's all the time when I'm going out. Like, my favorite one is the one on 45. I usually get that one, hit that one, going out and coming back.
The one in Madisonville.
Yeah, the one on, and I usually hit that one, and I get my
That's a good
Slim
one.
Jims and my sweet tea.
Yeah.
Because
there you go.
Slim Jims are fresh in there, man. Like they don't
Their
screw
Slim
around.
Jims are fresh in there.
They are.
Yeah, it's good
They
stuff.
got good sandwiches too. My wife, like whenever we drive, like whenever we go anywhere, like we'll stop at a Buc-ee's for lunch or whatever. They got fresh turkey sandwiches. They make. I mean, they're cutting the turkey right there and it's hot. I mean, it's
It's
awesome.
like a party. Like
Yeah.
it's like a road. It's like a party on the road. And it's like every time I go in there now, it's just like, wow, man, this place. We don't have nothing like that in New York City.
You don't have anything like that outside of Texas, I don't think.
No.
Yeah, that's a
No,
Texas
yeah,
thing, I
and the
believe.
bathrooms do just set it off.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
The bathrooms
Oh, yeah,
just set
individuals.
it off.
I mean,
private stalls.
I mean,
Well, they pay
bricks
the people who
all the
clean-
way to the floor.
yeah, that's
to everything.
comforting.
And
They,
they just
they
like,
pay those bathroom attendants $19 an hour to clean those bathrooms.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
totally worth it.
yeah, it's
That's-
like it's
yeah.
it's a great place. It's one of those.
Yeah.
One of my
We should get
favorite
Buc-ee's
places.
as one of our ad sponsors.
Don't laugh too hard. They're from Brazoria County. I got
Hey,
you covered.
that's how we got Eureka Heights as one of our sponsors. All you
Yeah.
got to do is ask,
Shout out.
No
So,
shame.
Speaking of, like, going back to like your time with the Spin Doctors, so there was a time 98, 99, like you left the band. The band
Right.
kind of did the band dissolve and you left, or was the band on its dissolving, or was it
They
just
just-
kind of like a
No.
it just kind of happened
None of
kind
that
of thing?
stuff. None of that stuff.
No?
They just got really corny, and I left.
Okay,
Oh shit.
fair
I
enough.
can't play corny. I mean, it was already corny, but then it got like super crazy corny, and I was like, I can't play this stuff. I was so not into playing it that Aaron did some of the bass on the. I just couldn't play the bass lines. I was just like, I can't do it. Because I'm a freak.
Yeah. Hey,
I mean, I just got
enough.
this crazy thing about me. It's just like I can only go so far, and then I physically get ill, and then I got to stop doing whatever it is.
So, was there any animosity there, like between like you and Aaron and?
Oh,
Chris,
yeah, there was a
Chris?
lot. I was mad at everybody.
Chris is the lead singer, right?
Yeah. Everybody was mad. Everybody was mad at each other. And then that's when I came down to Texas.
Okay.
I met my wife, who was she was from Poland. I met her in the Central Park. I wasn't in the Spin Doctors at the time. And then my father was screaming all the time for Ronzoni spaghetti because you couldn't get it down here.
Yeah.
Ron's only spaghetti.
Ronzoni.
Ronzoni. Okay.
Right. So I would ship it down to him. But then one day, then my wife is crazy about driving because she's got her international license. We could never drive far enough. So I was like, why don't we just drive all the way to Texas? I'll get rid of the spaghetti, and then she can get her driving rocks off, right?
Yeah.
So we filled up the trunk with Ronzoni, and we just got in the car and we drove down to Texas. And then we were I'll never forget this feeling, man. We were driving through Katy, and I was looking at these big houses, and I just felt like I was in the Archies.
Oh yeah. Those
I
mansions
said,
of Katy and
this
all
looks
that.
just like the
Mansions
Archies
out
to me.
there, yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I want to live here.
Yeah.
And then when I found out how cheap the houses were, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So I just bought a house.
Yeah.
And then I went back to New York, and I was just like, we're out of here. So we spent we had to wait 6 months for them to build a house, which was a nightmare because my father was taking care of it, and he's an idiot and didn't know what he was doing.
Jesus.
But he's dead, so I don't have to worry about anything.
Oh. Okay.
And all his family's dead too, so nobody can come after me.
But he's dead. Dude. Damn.
They're all dead, so they can't say nothing to
You're
me.
good. You're
That's how
safe.
it works,
Good.
Paul. That's how it works.
I'm gonna remember that.
So he just screwed up the whole thing, and I remember he was complaining about the bricks. He was like, "I got to have to take the whole wall down." Like, how do you do that? So we get to the house, and there was so many problems with that house. It was amazing, but we got through it, and I just didn't want to come back to New York. And believe me, people were asking me to come back. Mark, you should come back. What are you doing down there? And they all thought Texas. They all thought where I was living, I was like in the boondocks or something.
Right.
They had no idea.
Right.
Yeah, most people, their perceptions
Good.
of Texas
For let
are-
them to think.
Yeah,
let
let
them
them
Can you
think that
imagine?
way.
Can you imagine the look on my face when I walked into an HEB?
Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
You're- I can't
Can you imagine that?
That,
I mean,
that's a
Buc-ee's
magical experience,
HEB,
man.
though.
I mean,
I just wanted to
That
get
is.
a bed
Yeah.
and
Put it right
in
here.
the HEB.
Yeah.
there's an HEB.
Yeah.
One of the first like HEB Super Plus locations was down in Pearland. My sister lived right there.
Pearland?
In Pearland. So we stopped there like on our way down to Galveston to get some, like beach towels, or we stopped to get some food. And I'm walking around. I'm like, they had TVs, and at the time, TVs and beach sunglasses.
Oh,
and-
it's an experience.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! It was like, oh, this is awesome.
It's like the Buc-ee's of grocery stores. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
thank God we don't have zoning restrictions in Houston.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
you can never put those HEBs in some of the places that they are. There's some shopping centers around where you can drop your computer off to get fixed, go grocery shopping, and fill up a gas, and get a Starbucks, and get your tires rotated when you're done, all in the same shopping center.
That's right.
And you know what's great
And your
too?
taxes done.
It's a Texas dream and a gun.
Yeah,
Yep.
And a
probably.
gun.
Shotgun and an
Yeah.
AR-15.
Shotgun.
Multiple and more than 10 rounds.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to lie. Look, where I work, I won't say it because obviously a thing, but we go dove hunting on literal streets that are being built. I'd love to take you out there.
Man, I love this state. It's the greatest. And, I drove around this entire state. Like, when I got that first Corvette, I went everywhere in that thing. And
Nice.
I just seen the whole state. And it's just, everywhere you go is just Texas. And it gets even more Texas between here and Dallas. And it kind of goes back to something else. But between here and Dallas, it's like, that's Texas. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And
Everywhere. But it's funny because, like, Dallas has this whole thing, and Austin has their own kind of thing. But Austin's still Texas-ish. Like, Dallas has this whole, like...
They're snooty.
I don't know.
They're snooty.
They are, but it's a different kind of snooty. It's like
It's like the TV show.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's that 1980s big hair. Yeah.
I went to some place there, and I
was
swear to
so
God, I
bad.
thought I was in California.
in Dallas.
Yeah.
Man, Brian,
Austin
my buddy
probably
Brian
makes
and
it
I
like that.
went to we drove up to Dallas to get that bed for Corey, and we stayed. We camped out at a hotel that night because we got there late, and we got there and we're like, man, I could use a drink, and some food. We got there kind of late. It's a long drive, 4 hours or whatever. So we from our hotel room, we were like, we looked out the window and we're like, hey, there's a restaurant right there. Like, I can see it clear. I can read the sign on it from here. Right. So we're like, okay, so we go down and go get in the truck and we go to the restaurant. It took us 20 minutes to get to that restaurant because of how fucked up the freeways are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're different over there, up there.
Yeah.
That's why I have a GPS. Even that gets confused. Oh, you want to think, speaking of freeways, go to New Jersey. Your GPS will jump out of the car.
Oh, no thanks.
It will just shut down, or it'll try to kill you.
That's why I don't
Damn.
understand how you drive around all the places. I've driven places, like, I don't like to drive because, people, they don't have feeder roads. Like, who doesn't build a freeway with a feeder road?
Well, I like driving out west. That's the best part. And I have to drive to New Jersey next month.
Ooh.
But I don't have to go into New York City. Actually, I do now because I got a recording session. But I have to go, so I'll get through it because I always know that I can come back to Texas.
There you go.
Yeah, I one time I was in New York City and it was just like a nightmare. And I come back down. I live downtown, and I'm driving down Fannin Street to my house, and I'm the only one on the entire boulevard. I had to take a picture.
Never happened in New York City.
No,
Beautiful.
you'll never see that.
Oh, never.
Unless it's the apocalypse and you survive. But it's like night and day. Except for now, downtown Houston, I went to look at another apartment, and she's like $3,600. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I said, if I'm going to spend $3,600, I'm going to move back to New York. Because that's what you pay $3,600 for. You walk outside.
You know how big of a house you can get in Houston for $3,600?
I know.
Yeah.
This place was kind of big, but not big enough for $3,600.
Right.
And
Damn.
I just don't understand how they, like, anybody would buy it. But, since everybody's been getting flooded, my old house got flooded out.
Right.
I moved out, and then that subdivision got destroyed.
Really?
Ooh.
And
That's why we're here. I lost my whole house in Harvey 2 years ago.
every single house in that subdivision, Cape Cinco Ranch, got flooded, including my old house. And so I lived, but they were telling me that people are moving into apartments now because they're paranoid about the getting your house flooded because every time it rains. I mean, when it was raining in Katy, I used to get nervous because one time the street did get a little floodedy. And I was just like, oh, man, this doesn't look good. But then it didn't. It kind of went down.
Yeah. We lived in Bear Creek, and we were in Bear Attic Reservoir. Mm-hmm. So, like, when it flooded, like, there was no hope for us. Like, our house sat in water for 10 days, 11 days.
Oh, man.
With, like, 4 feet of water in it. I mean, like,
God, I never went through
when
that
we
yet.
when we were done, like, when we got in there, and it was actually, the anniversary of it was, like, yesterday, 2 days ago, 2 years and 2 days ago, was when, we had finally were able to get back to the house and muck it out and stuff. We were lucky and smart to have bought flood insurance when they didn't require us to have flood insurance. So, like, we had flood insurance and, we were fine.
So Harvey was 2 years ago? And what?
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, so that's when my house got flooded 2 years ago. So I would have either bounced back or killed myself, one of the two.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we bounced back into. Like, we were able to upgrade a little bit and, like,
Shangri-La, yeah.
Yeah, I was able to, like, take my bare, studio that I built myself and, like, actually do a little bit more with it.
So you're good over here, right? Because
yeah.
I have a...
That was one of the things that, like, when we were looking at this house, I knocked on the neighbors' doors and I was like,
How'd y'all do?
How was the water?
Right, that's what I would do.
They were like, oh yeah, the streets were completely dry.
Well, because like you said before, right? Katie was all rice paddies and floodplains and all that good stuff. So yeah, I mean all
Well, you know what they did.
Yeah.
You know what happened, which is what I found out, is that that giant George Bush Park over there.
Right.
That's a reservoir for
Right.
Addicts Reservoir.
And so the spillway is right where my subdivision is. So you weren't supposed to build anything back there.
Nope.
And they usually,
that's what
they
I
said
heard.
that it was like an 850-year event.
Yeah.
That they have to open up those floodgates. But that whole park, you know what's funny about that park? You could fit 5 Central Parks in there.
Damn.
That's how big it is.
Yeah, that's
And I couldn't believe that. Like I looked on the map and I did the little mile. I had one map on this window and 1 mile, and another. I had the Central Park and the other one, and it's just a mile measurement. And I'm like, wow, you can actually fit that many Central Parks. That thing is huge, and it's full of water. Are you ready for this one? The first time when Allison came through, my wife,
that was 2001.
Right, my wife was like, I was out of town, so I came back, and she's like, you got to come see the park. Because we didn't think that park was a reservoir. We just thought it was a park. Like, she said, the whole park is full of water. I'm like, what are you talking about? She said, it's flooded except for the road. So when I got back, she said, you got to see this. You're not going to believe this. So we went in there, and it looked like a lake that there was a road through. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking down on the ground, and I keep seeing like these oil slicks. And I'm like, man, this is horrible. There's oil everywhere. So then we see these 2 deer stuck on a little mound. So we all get out to, oh, we're sorry. You're on the little mound. And I look down, and I'm like, how can the oil slicks are moving? So I look closer, and it's freaking fire ants.
Groups of them. They're in groups.
I just wanted to go home and get some Raid and spray them.
Yeah.
Dude, fire ants. You know, that's
get
a
a
very.
magnifying glass and magnify.
Have you
That was
seen
water, though.
videos with
Bastards.
like the fire ants will form a viscous compound, like and act like one solid object when you dump them. Like if they're all in water, they will. There's actual videos, like you can look them up on YouTube. Like guys in gloves, like they put like the fire ants and they ball them up into like a ball in the water, and like. They they act like a real it's one organism.
That's
like
a real community right there.
It's
They
fucking
look like
trippy,
they look
man.
like little hamburger patties.
And if you are dry and they are floating and you touch them, you are fucked.
Oh, yeah.
You are 100% fucked.
One day I was watering my weeds because I didn't really know the difference between the weeds and the grass. I was just watering everything.
Saw my front yard, right?
I mean, I'm not gonna. So I was just watering it, and I remember I was in a bad mood. I was in a bad mood over something, and I was just watering. I had the hose, and I just looked down, and my hand was like hurting, but I wasn't paying attention because I was angry. And then I finally looked down, and my hand was covered in fire ants because they crawled up the hose. They started biting the hell out of me, and that's when World War III.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I would have yelled out, "Sons of bitches!" and
Hey,
just
man,
fucking.
I went out there. I went back into my house, and I started boiling water. And every time I found a mound, I just poured it right in there.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing cruel about that. It's just fun.
You got to
No.
go scorched.
I
You got to go scorched
I
earth on
scorched
them,
my
man.
backyard. Like
Survival of the
Monopoly.
fittest, baby.
Have you
That's what
seen
it
the
is.
videos where they dump molten
Yeah, I've seen
aluminum
that.
down those
I
fire
love
hills? So cool,
for the
man.
little caverns and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
they
No.
dig them. They dig them back out afterwards.
Oh,
I mean,
nice.
it's really cool how intricate those things are. I mean, fuck the ants; they get all melted and
Right.
shit. Absolutely fuck
But
them.
they're-
But like the
There's more where
video's
that came
pretty
from.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
a
plenty of fucking
fuckload.
fire ants. You know what I
what's
mean?
funny about those ants is like here. What are we? We're like 5 billion years now with the Earth, right?
Some shit. Yeah.
Something, and no telling how long. What have they evolved into? I mean,
Yeah, that's true. Little
wonder, like-
lobsters too. They've been around for like
that's
250
fucking
million
doing the
years.
same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, millions of years they've been around.
Maybe millions of years ago, if you'd have poured the molten
aluminum?
it would just be one big room.
Maybe.
Those fuckers. Yeah.
They just evolved into like
Multiple
building real
rooms.
cities now. 'Cause
Well,
it
we
was
don't
like
know
a
if they
city.
were
rooms.
Well, the theory is
Fuck you,
that
Kyle. I want my own room.
the theory is that millions of years ago the Earth's atmosphere had way more oxygen in
Right,
it
so
than
everything
now,
was
so everything
bigger.
was bigger.
Right.
So things have shrunk, like Paul. So
So Paul's an involved. Yeah. okay.
Paul's evolving. That's
He's evolving, yeah.
that's where that's what I was getting at
Right.
with that. So
Right.
so getting on to like you left the band. What brought y'all back together? There was a reunion.
Right. That was
like
the
show.
that was the wetlands. Wetlands came back, and you know what? That's right around now. We got back together in September. What's today's date?
The 10th.
The 10th.
So tomorrow, yesterday. Because I remember we got back together on the 8th or the 9th. And
Of what year? That was like 2000.
2001. The
2001?
few days right before 9/11, baby.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
I was in New York City.
Wow.
And
That was crazy.
I was supposed to stay there. Me and my Polish wife were supposed to stay there. And, I was up there for my church. And I got into a fight with the pastor. So I was like, get me out of here, this stupid city. And I can't believe it. We left. We left that Sunday and got back to Houston that Tuesday, and that's when it was 9/11.
What happened?
But we got together because of, what's that? Wetlands was this club that was closing and they wanted all the bands to come back and do one last show.
Like CBGBs did or
Right.
whatever.
So nobody wanted to say no, so we all got back together. And then we just had a great time, and then we got back together again. We got past our differences. That's men for you.
That's men.
Goddamn right, that's
You
meant
can get
for
back.
you.
You can get back together again and not rehash anything old. But you
None of that
remember
bullshit.
You're laying in the bed with your woman or whatever, and she's like, "Honey, you remember a couple days ago when you?" You remember 3 years ago?
I would like to think I know, but yeah.
3 years ago, when it's like we just got. We literally did not even talk about it.
Yeah.
So how did that come about? Did y'all have a manager that was just like, hey, they asked y'all to play?
I don't even remember. Somebody just called me. Because
Said, "Hey, y'all wanna play
I'm in
this
Houston.
thing?"
They're still in New York City. I'm still in Houston. I'm in Houston. I
Are
left.
all of them still in New York City now?
The guitar player's in Canada because something's wrong with him. But everybody else is in.
You almost sound like when you say they're still in New York City, almost like it's a bad thing. Like they need to get out of there. Or
They
move
do.
Out of there.
Have you been to New York City?
No,
It's
of course,
terrible.
of course
No,
not.
they
But I've
love
heard
it.
a lot
Chris-
of bad things
Chris-
that just give me
Chris
anxiety.
and Aaron love New York City. Me and Eric lives in Toronto. He's got a house up there somewhere. He's got a boat. He's living the Canadian dream,
boat.
whatever
You
that
can
is.
have a boat in Lake Livingston, like an hour drive from here.
And
Yeah,
a
but-
That
shotgun
sounds like a
in it.
And
but
a
it's,
shotgun.
but it's Canada though, so he's
Yeah.
living
You
the
can't have
Canadian
a
dream.
shotgun.
Yeah.
No, you can't. You can't do
You can have all the weed he wants, though.
Right, exactly.
True.
Yeah.
And I moved down to Houston, and it was one point where I thought about going back, but I was like, what am I going to do? I was just up there, and I just wanted to leave.
Yeah, pay attention to those feelings. Do not ignore them.
And when you get to like the one, the one
Do
spot
not.
is when you get to Virginia. That's when you know you're just, oh man, back in the South again. I love the South. I love the South and I love the West, and I hate the North.
You know what's funny is that Maryland is south of the Mason-Dixon line.
Shut your whore mouth.
It is. Maryland
Oh,
was part of
man.
the South of
But
the
it still
Confederate-
sucks a butt.
I know. It's still,
Still
what
sucks.
we
But-
consider
oh my
what
God,
we
I can't
consider
believe it.
north, you know what I mean? Like he says Virginia, like I'm saying Virginia, North
When I get
Carolina,
when I get to Carolina, that's when I feel safe.
Boom.
Nice.
Right, I feel safe and then
Down
now
the South.
speed limits go up, the population goes down.
There you go.
The
Now
temperature
you're
goes
talking.
up. When you go to
I
New
don't
York
know,
City,
man.
it's
New
the
York
opposite.
City is fucking hot. We were there 4th
Yeah,
of
it's
July
a
last
dry
year.
hot,
Hey, wait
isn't
till
it?
January.
That's a different.
We're talking about January, my friend.
It's cold as fuck,
Fuck
there.
that.
I was
man.
in New York City in January, and we I think it was January, and we were doing a party for some rich guy, and he says to me, we're talking about New York City. I said, "There's a snowstorm coming," and I drove my Corvette up there, right?
Oh, fuck.
So I'm like, I got to get out of here. So we're at a party, and I'm dancing with this girl, and I'm like, look at the watch, and I'm like, I got to go because I know when it was going to hit, right? Yeah. So I have to go. All I got to do is make it down to Virginia, because that's when the temperature goes up to something normal. And so
In January, huh?
right, even in January. So
Shorts in
she's like,
January.
you can't leave. There's a snowstorm coming. I said, that's why I'm leaving. So she says, I can't let you leave. So she goes and gets the millionaire guy who hired us. He's like, no, you got to stay. I'll take care of you. Don't worry. So he put me up in a hotel. And the very next day when I woke up, I could not even see my car. It was completely covered in snow. And I was up there for a week, which I didn't mind. You know what I mean? I was staying in a really nice hotel.
He paid for the
He
week?
paid for everything.
Nice.
I didn't pay for
Wow.
nothing.
That's awesome.
All because they didn't want me to drive back and beat the snowstorm, which is what I would have easily done.
It's like they just... Well, at least you got, a nice room out of it. That's
Right.
That's good.
No, I was glad. I was
North
like,
versus the South thinking, man.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I was happy. I mean, it was great.
We're looking forward to winter because then we can actually go outside and hang out for a little while.
Right.
You know what I mean?
This has been a scorcher, man, because
Yeah.
This summer's
man-made climate change is really ruining
Yeah,
our
right.
lives.
I agree. Yeah, I hear you on that.
I'm making as much climate change as possible every time I fill up.
Amen.
Yeah, a lot of people in your Houston like
I'm
that
totally
too.
I'm totally into filling up my car as much as possible.
Do it while you can.
So, question. Speaking of millionaire rock star stories, you've been playing since you were 18. You were in the scene, right? So, call that early 80s, 82, 81, 82?
I started playing bass in 77.
Okay. So, from 77 to now, like one of the things that like we always talk about is like, you've got to have like there's got to be some really good like rock star stories. You know, like you're on touring, you know, especially like at the height of Spin Doctor's fame.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's got to be like one story that sticks out in your mind that's like, this is the quintessential, like, this is like a really cool fucking story.
Well, it depends. I mean, there's like the braggy stories.
Let's hear the braggy stories.
Like
you can humble brag about them.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like
The
I don't
braggy,
give a shit.
The braggy story for me is when
Go and brag.
we had to do. We were in New York, or we were in. I wish I could remember exactly. I think we were in California, and we had to do the David Letterman show. So they flew us on a private jet from L.A. to New York. My first time on a private jet, and it's just like, you know, there's no check-in, there's no anal check-in, there's nothing. You just get on, right? Nobody's screaming at you. And then we do the Letterman show. And then we had to go do. I think we were in Vegas, and we had to do the Letterman show. So then they flew us back to California to do the Jay Leno show. And then from there, I had to fly to Hawaii.
oh, that's so terrible.
First class, baby, right?
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah.
There you go.
So then we drive. So I'm flying to Hawaii first class. I'm thinking the plane's going to crash because that was my dream to go to Hawaii, right? It's like, I can't believe it. And there's no way I'm going to make it, right? So I make it. And so when I'm on Hawaii for the first time, right, I just can't even believe it. So we had 10 days off
in Hawaii.
yeah.
in Hawaii.
Nice.
And so I had an American Express gold card, and I'm all badass, right? So I go over to rent a scooter because everybody's renting scooters to get around. The guy's like, "Can I just see? All right, I just need a credit card and a driver's license." I'm like, "What? I need a driver's license." I was like, "Come on, dude, you're kidding? To drive a scooter?" So I'm not going to spend 10 days on Hawaii without a scooter. So I go back to my hotel, and Japan's right there, and I always wanted to go to Japan. So I made it so I could do some interviews over there. So they flew me to Japan first class.
Ooh.
Nice.
And just so you know, this is all you hear in first class.
Come on. Beautiful.
They would be saying that to
There's
me
no
frequently.
crying.
Oh, yeah.
There's no people flipping out. It's like a whole
That's
other
why.
world.
That's why I hate flying. I hate.
So now I'm in Japan, right? I thought the plane was going to crash again because, you know, there's no way that dream was going to come true. So now I'm in Japan, and I just can't even believe it, right? And I'm just, oh my God, this is unbelievable. I'm in Japan, having a great time. So now I got to fly to Australia.
Oh no, terrible.
And so, when I was in Japan, I bought this camera. Like, so, you know, everything they have there is the opposite of what we have here. And so they had
Is it in the southern hemisphere or what?
no, well, they just have better stuff.
Okay.
Right.
Like we get the crap, and they have like these video. Like at the time, they had a video camera with a color viewfinder, and back then everything was black and white.
Ah.
So they wouldn't sell it to me because everything was in Japanese. But I insisted on buying it anyway.
Probably
and
PAL form.
I taught
Or
myself how to.
NCCS.
I taught myself how to use it on my flight from Japan to Australia in first class.
Oh, that's nice.
So now I'm in Australia, right? And I'm in first class. Ooh. And we're flying all over Australia in first class, right? So now that's done. Mm-hmm. And now I met some guy on a yacht because we played this beautiful yacht in the middle of the harbor, right? And the guy's like, Singapore is the greatest country in the world. So now I had another 10 days off. So what do I do with my time off? Well, I go visit Singapore. So I call up my friend Jed, you know, our guy. And I said, hey, I want to go to Singapore and hang out. He says, all right, fine. How are you flying? First class.
It's the only way I fly.
So I'm on my way. So I'm getting ready to go to Singapore. And then I get another phone call. Hey, they want you in Hong Kong.
Jeez.
Why not?
I said, well, I'm going to Singapore. He said, let me change it. Oh, man, I can't change it. So you're going to have to go to Singapore. And then afterwards, you're going to have to go to Hong Kong. How are you flying?
First
class. So I get to Singapore.
Last class.
I get to Singapore, and I'm there for like 24 hours. And then I go to Hong Kong, which is everything I thought Japan was going to be. I mean, it's like it. This is 1990 something, 91 or 92. It looks like Blade Runner.
Oh, nice.
I can't even describe this place.
Oh yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Talking about Hong Kong, right?
Yeah, Hong Kong. It's just like off the hook.
Cyberpunk.
It's total. So now I'm in Hong Kong, and me, Aaron, and Eric met up in Hong Kong. Chris is off doing something stupid. So the three of us are in Hong Kong, and we're doing
Sesame
MTV.
Street, guys. That's what he was.
Yeah.
We're doing MTV and all this other stuff, and so now it's time to go to England, to Europe, to do to finish the tour, right? So I fly first class.
Oh, of course.
And remember, I'm going from Hong Kong all the way.
Was it a 17-hour flight, 18-hour flight?
Something I don't know because I was in first class.
I'm still stuck there. You started from Hawaii.
It didn't matter.
No, he started from
stateside.
Vegas. He started in Vegas.
He's starting to get where I'm going. You're
Yeah.
starting to get it. So now
You're
I'm
going
in.
all the way
So now I'm in London, right? And I'm flying. We get to London or whatever. I forgot. I can't remember. Paris or whatever, right? So we get to fly all over the freaking place, first class. And now it's time to go home.
Boo.
So I'm leaving England to go back to New York City, first class.
Nice.
And so I'm home for like a couple of weeks, right? And I'm just chilling. I'm kind of detoxing. By the way, when I was in Japan, I forgot this. This is a good story because we all love guns, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. So I'm in Japan, and I found this hobby place, and they got like these crazy robots and cars and stuff, right? So I go in there, and then I go downstairs. There's a downstairs, so I go down there and I look up on the wall, and there's every conceivable machine gun you've ever conceived in your life up on the wall.
Just hanging.
And I
there.
was like, I thought Japan was gun free. I can't talk to anybody because they're all speaking Japanese. Right. So
Japanese.
I go,
Wait.
right? Yeah, because I'm in
Yeah.
Japan.
He's
Oh,
in
I think
Japan.
you said Hong Kong. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I'm in Japan.
Go ahead.
So then the Sony guy comes and he says, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to go to a toy store." So he takes me to a toy store, and I saw the same guns, and I was like, "Oh my
toy
god,
store.
these are toys." They make them look so real.
Oh, yeah, back in the
these
day.
Are this is the beginning of the airsoft guns, right?
Yeah.
So I bought a bunch of them. So when I got back to my house after flying first class,
There we go.
I had all these guns sitting in my living room because they put my guns in my living room because you can't take them with you on the plane because they look too real. So it's the Sony people shipped them to my house.
There you go.
So I'm so busy with my guns that I completely for 2 weeks. One day I remember this distinctly. I woke up one day and I was like, "Holy shit! I just flew around the world first class."
You did it.
I started in New York City and I ended in New York City, and then you threw a couple of private jets in there.
Nice.
And the other, so right after we did all of this, they want us to do some press, and the press was to go back to Paris and England. I'm like, I don't want to feel like it.
I've been there.
We'll fly you on the Concorde.
Oh, the Concorde was still a thing.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
So this was like pre-96.
Wait,
Right.
yeah,
This
the
had to be
Concorde.
right
What is
there.
that?
Yeah,
I've
so
heard of
it's
that.
Supersonic flight.
Supersonic flight.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So instead of taking 9 hours to get to Paris, it took 3 hours.
Holy
Fuck
shit!
yeah.
So I
A
took that,
third.
man. There was no way I was going to turn that down.
Oh, no.
And then I got my driver. I had a driver. They gave us and he was like James Bond. He would stand out in front of the car, and
Nice.
we come out from the restaurant. He'd just be standing there, and I'm like, so this is what it's like to be rich, filthy rich.
Oh, yeah.
And you got a car all the time. I mean, I only had it for a weekend.
Right, but still.
like somebody like
It's
Elton
fun to
John,
pretend, man.
like somebody like Elton John probably has it every single day.
Oh,
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
is like-
Oh yeah.
because he
every
was
day.
flying the Concorde all the time.
Right.
Remember, you guys have to remember this. I wasn't actually paying for all of this
Oh,
because I wouldn't even pay for first class now.
Right.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay
I-
for first
and the
class.
first class, so you're spoiled with the international first class. The domestic first class is a joke,
Really?
right? Like I wouldn't like our guys. They still do it because I guess it's a prestige part of it. But the seats you can't lay down. You remember, I'm laying down the whole time. We're in that first class is like pods and beds and your own thing or whatever.
Man.
Unlimited steaks.
all the apple juice you can drink. That's what I
Nobody-
do on
nobody-
planes.
I'm
Sold.
sitting in the airport. I'm just sitting in the airport minding my business, and some guy walks over to me and goes, "Hey, Mr. White." I'm like, "Yeah, come with me, please." And he
Like, shit, am I in
escorts me-
trouble?
He just he escorts me onto the airplane.
Oh.
I never.
It's
had
just
that
crazy
before.
stuff, man. It's just like
Escorts you on a plane.
for me. The traveling is the best part.
Yeah.
of this whole thing is like I got to see all these countries for free. I got to do all this amazing stuff, Because, you're only playing for 40 to 90 minutes. And then you're spending, we went to Jakarta. It took 24 hours to get there.
Whoa.
First class, of course.
So what do you think about, Paul we were talking about this earlier, back when the Spin Doctors were coming up and recording and, it was all, backed by the labels and they were financing everything. And
right.
Everything revolved around ticket sales and record sales. As when the era of digital music and digital recording and assholes like me that have home studios came into play, what do you think, what's your take on what the music industry has become now versus the way that it was then? Has digital recording tamed down the music industry and made it easier for shitty acts to sound good and filtered out some of the better stuff? Or do you feel like it's really opened a door to, a big breadth of variety?
I'm going to tell you.
I want to hear.
I want to hear too.
You see, back in the day when I was doing it,
Mm-hmm.
it took 6 months to a year to find out if you sucked. Now you can find out in one night.
Yeah.
What do I mean by that? Well, back then you would have to get a record deal. You'd have to go into the studio, record it. They got to print it up. They got to do all this promotional stuff. They put it in the stores. And then if 2 people bought it, it took 6 months for you to find out that, all that effort went to nothing. Now you can just use your little home studio over there, put it on YouTube, and wake up the next day, and you can decide you can find out if you suck or not.
Right, you got 20 likes or
That's
you got
true.
20 million.
Exactly.
Right.
So I like it now. So
Right.
you don't have to waste a whole lot of time. You can just find out right away. I mean, because there's a lot of people who are on YouTube are, making money.
Yeah.
There's people who are getting discovered. The people today have they have more control over what they're doing. You see, when we were doing it, we didn't really have that much control over it. You got all these people with their, well, I don't think that record song should go on the thing. Now you can do whatever you want.
Too many hands in a pile.
Right, it's all free. I mean, there's more stuff out there. But like I said earlier, everybody's an artist. Anybody, if they want me to teach them how to play the bass, I don't care who you are. Doesn't matter. If you want to learn how to play an instrument, you will learn. If you want to learn how to do anything, you will learn. As long as you practice. I mean, that's why look at it this way. When you see little babies walking around for the first time, they're stumbling and, right?
Yeah.
But we all walk perfectly because we've been doing it. The more you do something, even if you don't like it, you're going to be good at it.
That's true.
So that's everything. So if people want to learn how to play music, people always tell me, I don't have any talent. There's no such thing as that.
Right.
You just have to practice. Music isn't something the only talent comes is if you come up with a good song.
Yeah.
Like the Beatles. Like the Beatles, for me, they're the greatest songwriters ever. I mean, I saw Paul McCartney, when was that? A few years ago. And I forgot all those songs. And he starts playing them. I'm like, oh man, Penny Lane, I remember that.
So good.
Yeah,
I mean,
and every song was a hit.
Yeah.
You sit you go to a concert and you go, oh my God, I'm sure people do that with us sometimes too, right? Because we're just waiting for 2 princes, right?
Damn.
But when you go see a Beatles concert, you're not waiting for anything. Every song is a hit.
yeah.
Right.
And that's when I went to go see Paul McCartney, I was just like, wow, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
There's very few bands that can pull that off.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's, but I think that's what kind of I was getting at is you don't see that anymore. That doesn't happen anymore. Who was the last artist that came out that was just every album they put out had multiple hits on it and could go and play, a 90-minute, 2-hour show, 3-hour show nonstop, and every single song. Every song is a hit.
Well, let me tell you something, my friend. We live in a world where nothing's coming back. It has like the Roman Empire. It had its time, right?
I don't know, man. I still live in the 90s.
But what I'm trying
That's all I listen to is 90s music.
Right, well, so that's the great thing about having recordings is that you can do that. But I believe that there's a time for everything, and that time comes and it has an end, and that's it. It's never going to come back. There's not even going to be a relentlessness of it in any kind of way. You're just going to have just new stuff, and there's nothing you can do about it. So when you see something like the Beatles, I mean, since the Beatles has been out, has there anything been even as close to the Beatles?
Oh God, no.
Well, there you go. What about before that?
Elvis,
Before that?
Swing
Chuck
music.
Berry?
Fuck, I don't know.
No, there's nothing. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There's like,
I mean, I'm struggling. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's
I mean, right.
let's
yeah.
go back to the 1700s.
Okay.
there was this lyre player. He
Flute
was
music.
killing it. Yeah. So new music, like what are you? You're playing with the Spin Doctor still, obviously,
Right.
because it took forever for us to get you in here. So, like, what new music are you working on? Like, what stuff is going on with you?
Yeah.
Like, you're playing with this. Are y'all writing new music,
No,
new
we're not
album
doing
or anything?
These guys, I don't know what they're doing. Eric has his record coming out. I mean, well, it came out already. Who Shot John, I think. And then Chris has a record, One Arm something. It's too convoluted for me to remember. And then Aaron does his little solo things and his stuff. And I'm working with a singer out of Florida, like on electronic dance music. Because I always loved electronic music.
Nice.
It's always been my thing.
That's Paul's thing.
Right. And it's all, you know, and one of my reasons for that too is like, of course, everybody's going to hate me, but like if you are a singer songwriter and you want to put a record together, you just can't put anybody on it,
Right.
because that actually dictates what you have.
Yeah.
So smart people look for the best musicians to put on there, and when you put those people on there, that's your record.
Yeah.
You know, that's your record. So like when you see somebody like Prince, he's playing everything, so that's him. You know, and when you see, even, you know, it turns out Jimi Hendrix was playing some of the bass lines on some of his stuff. He was playing the bass,
Don't tell me that.
right? And so,
Wow, I didn't know that.
I love Noel Redding, man. Don't tell me that.
no, I love Noel too, but some, you know, Jimi Hendrix could play bass, and then Lenny Kravitz plays bass on some of his stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not saying on everything, but he plays. You know, these guys can do that, and so when you get somebody else to do it, like if you hire me to play bass, you're going to get me. You know, like my friend does it. He lives in Dallas, and he could get any bass player up in Dallas, but he calls me up, and I drive up there and play bass on his stuff.
So you drive up there. I mean, like that's with the age of like digital recording and stuff like that. Wouldn't it be?
He likes to
easier
have you right in front of him doing
Kind of
it.
coach
That's
you
his
through it and
preference.
everything?
Right, yeah.
that
I mean,
point.
I've done some remote tracks too. That's fun.
It's
But-
not. I've done some remote tracking, and it's fairly aggravating. I mean,
Well, it depends.
I don't know if you've had the same experience I have. But
Well,
like,
what you got to do. What you have to do is you got to put down the bare minimum, and then have them critique it, or you got to charge by the hour. My friend told me the best thing to do is to charge by the hour.
that's what I do. I charge by the hour.
Right, so
That's-
this way people are less likely, because if you say $100 a track, they'll drag that out for 3 months.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That goes for
Yeah.
any
So what I
business, yeah.
like the couple of times that I've done it, like I've given them like 100%. I'm like, here you go. Like I'm like, I've written these lines and practiced and rehearsed them, and like I've tracked them, punched in. Like I mean, like man, this is really good. And I'll get a message back and be like, man, these are really great. Could you play a little less?
Well, you know what you got to do.
You pull back a little bit. Okay.
What I like to do is comp. So what I do is I do 5 different, like 3 or 4 takes, maybe 5, and then that's it. And then they can just put it together however they want. So I work with people like that.
Idea. That's a better.
That's how I work with people like that. So they
Damn.
just take the best out of each track and then they just mix it together. And they would prefer to do that, actually. You know,
Yeah.
if you don't
Interesting.
do- you know.
I may do that the next time somebody asks me to.
That's not a bad idea.
Somebody
Yeah,
asks
so
me
that
to
makes-
track on them. So,
And if I show up to do a track thing with you, I don't want to learn the song if I'm not going to be in your band. I'm just playing bass on it. So I'll do the choruses, then the verses, and then I'm getting the hell out of there. I'm not playing the whole song through. I'm just doing them in parts. Because I don't want to learn a song, and I don't want to have anything to do with the song unless I'm going to be in the band, and I'm actually going to play it live. But if I'm just going to record it, then I'll just, we'll do the verse first or the chorus first, or I'll just do it in parts. But this guy that I use in Dallas, I go up there one night, and he's got a tape. He saw us like, what are you doing? Where's the digital stuff? We're taping today. We're using a 24 track. I was like, why stop there? Why don't we just go all the way back to just recording right onto the record?
Oh, recording the red line with the metronome too.
Yeah, why don't we just go all the way back there?
why don't you pull
Really
out
old
the wax
school.
cylinder and let's
Right.
let's just go to that.
So I had to actually learn the stupid song.
Oh, man.
I like how you just said not just song, stupid song.
No, actually, it was a good song, but it was
Hey,
stupid for me. to
your
have to-
words though. I'm just repeating them.
Yeah, it was stupid. Extra stupid for me to have to do that.
Extra stupid.
This is 2019. I'm trying to take advantage of everything that's in here. Because remember, when I grew up, we used to come home and we look at our phone. We didn't know if it was ringing or not. We don't know if anybody called.
late.
It just sat on the wall.
It's true.
We don't know anything.
So you're doing session work now, and there was another band you were playing with for a little while, a project you were working on.
Who, the Heavy Pets?
Yeah.
Oh, that was fun. Hippies.
Yeah.
Me, ultra conservative black guy with a bunch of white hippies.
But it was funky. You were bringing
they
that
were
funk
funky,
groove
yeah.
in there. Like
No,
that
but they
was,
already had it though. Those guys, I miss playing with those guys. They were like the Spin Doctors used to be. Like
Nice.
I was so, what's the word? Brain dead. That's it. I was so brain dead that when they sent me the stuff, I learned everything verbatim. Because I just didn't think that anybody was doing that jam thing. So they were doing, he's like, oh, you shouldn't have learned all that. That's the jam part. So I only had to learn like the hits.
nice.
And so when I was playing with them, it was like another, we just played these like really faint hits, and then it was all this improvising, which is what I love to do.
Yeah.
I don't like learning stuff.
I've seen video. I mean, I've watched a bunch of videos of like your bass solos and stuff like that on stage, and
If I have to remember something, I'm really depressed.
yeah, like there's
Especially if it's something you don't want to be involved with.
part of me was like, I was like, man, I'm gonna have Mark over tonight. Like, I'm gonna really like pick his brain and like have him, like, I'm gonna ask him some bass stuff, and I'm like, no. I was like, I'll just bite the bullet and
Too
buy some
fucking
bass
late.
lessons and go over there and do all this shit where he can actually like we can sit down and not do it where I'm like, hey man, like, what do you think about this? Like, how do I do this and stuff like that? Shit that I don't know how to do. But I probably won't like practice that much anyway. So
I practice all day long.
That's what
I
you gotta
work
do.
from home. I work
I need
in
to do
here
that.
Right.
from home, and I never touch my guitars while I'm
I
in
usually
here.
practice with one hand, and I'm watching TV or listening to YouTube or something. And like right now, I'm learning how to pick with all four fingers, and that's like a whole year of all day long.
I've really liked
Nice.
slap technique is one of those things that, like, I've never the technique of it. I've got the basics of it down, but like putting together like what to do with my left hand is really throwing me, and like
That kills everybody.
especially watching like you or like Victor or Flea and like doing like the like just playing with your thumb, like just with your thumb, like picking with your thumb and stuff like that. Oh my god, like I've tried to do that, it hurts so bad, and I can't get a good enough tone to make me want to keep going at it. So
It takes years.
Yeah, it's years and years and years and years of practice.
I'm working on this thing, and it's taken a year. I've been doing it for over a year now. I just been able to play Two Princes with it now,
Yeah.
using all four fingers.
So who's your bass influence? Like, who do you
Like
listen?
right now, I love Billy Sheehan.
Oh yeah,
I love Billy Sheehan. I mean, there's all kinds of bass solos or bass playing or whatever, but when this guy solos, it sounds like
he's a huge guy too. Like he's a big,
he's
like blonde ponytail. Those Yamaha
yeah.
basses. He always plays those Yamaha basses.
he's one of the nicest
Balding.
guys I've ever met, though. This guy's unbelievable.
He's incredible. His tone, like I'm a tone guy. Like that's what I really go for. And
Well, for
Yeah,
some
go
of us
ahead.
don't know who he is, could you please tell? Because I don't know. I'm sorry.
Mr. Big,
Mr. Big.
He
Mr.
played
Big.
with David Lee Roth.
Oh, okay.
He's got a band out. He's in a few bands, but my favorite band he's in right now is Sons of Apollo. And
Sounds familiar.
he's a
Jacob.
great he's a great bass player, right? But when he's with these guys, he almost sounds like he doesn't know what he's doing.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. And he is great, but these guys he's playing with are so high level dudes. Like, I was actually shocked, and I'm never shocked. Like when I go see band, I'm like, oh man, what time is it? I gotta get the hell out of here. But I saw these guys, and I was like, it's almost like a bunch of aliens just came down and started playing music.
Damn, that's
And so I went out and bought the record, and it was even sicker. Like I'm just driving my car, and I'm like, oh, I gotta chill out because it makes you want to drive fast.
There you go.
Jesus.
Sons of Apollo. And he's got a keyboard player, Derek something from Dream Theater, I think. I don't know who these people are.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anybody play keyboards like that.
Wow.
if
I
he's
was
in
just like-
if he's in Dream Theater, Jesus.
Yeah,
I was just
Well,
like,
yeah, that says
what
it
the
all.
hell is going on here, right? Then they got another guitar player, is Bumblefoot. I
Yeah,
think his name
I've
is,
heard.
right? Yeah.
Wait,
This
is that
dude-
his own band too, or
Yeah,
no, wait.
these guys are all in the same. This is the Sons of Apollo.
Okay,
Like a super group, kind
Right.
of. Almost.
oh, okay,
Right.
gotcha.
And
gotcha.
it's just like, what the hell happened? Like, who the hell is? And then the drummer's like, what the freak? And then there's Billy, and I'm like, Billy, what are you doing?
He's the one that's not supposed to be there. Yeah,
But no, he's great
But
in it.
he's
but yeah,
great.
like, but that's
Right.
how good he is. But,
But-
compared to these guys, like
No,
you're saying, like
yeah,
he's
yeah,
just
like there's
aliens.
a couple of lines in there, and you hear Billy back there playing and whatever, and it's just like, I was so proud of him because like to be in I don't even know if I could even play in a band like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These guys are on such a level. It's like, what the hell? Like I didn't even know music could get like that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I could actually like it because most of the time I hate that stuff.
yeah.
So what stuff do you like?
Like,
what do you seek out and listen?
Well, you know what?
I was
You
gonna
want to check it out?
I was gonna check. yeah,
Come on.
You ready for this one?
Come
Yeah,
on.
come
I
on,
want to
bring it.
recommend something after this though.
So I'm listening. I got my Apple Music. And
You got one?
I saw Taylor Swift,
Uh-oh.
and I was like, you know what? I never listened to her before.
T Swift.
So let me just see what this is all about. So I just, there's 50 songs. You can listen to them all for free, whatever, right? Because I'm paying my little.
She has a new album out too. I believe
She does.
And I actually,
Like it's
I was
Tool
like,
and
wow, I
Slipknot.
could see why this girl is famous.
Yeah.
That stuff is pretty, it's like, I actually like some of the songs. And I got them on a playlist that I listen to.
It's pretty solid songwriting.
Yeah,
I'll be
it's
honest.
really-
Yeah,
It's sick.
How
It's
much
sick.
of it is it produced though?
Who cares?
It
I know,
doesn't matter.
I know, but
The-
I'm just curious. Like,
You know what a good
reason why I was okay,
you know
go
a good
ahead.
way to tell like if a song like how good a song is if you can play it like on an acoustic guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can strip it down and play it like that'll tell you like how good the song is.
Yeah,
Like, and it's not the production speaking
Right.
for it. You know what I mean? Like
it's
a lot-
essentially the core of the
most
song.
of
then.
most of her stuff she writes herself on piano or
yeah,
just on a
okay.
guitar.
I mean,
She's
I was
got-
just curious
She's got an uncanny sense of melody, which is
Oh
just
my God,
it's
like-
because I
insane.
mean, I'm just so used to most pop artists. They're heavily produced or they have a producer
Yeah.
that does all the writing. I mean,
She
that's good.
she does use
I'm not
different-
knocking her for that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
She
actually
does
writes
use
the
different
stuff.
producers, but
Right.
she writes. She's credited with every single one of those.
If she
songs.
actually does,
Oh, yeah.
right.
Well, the
and
producing is different. I mean, you write it, and then a producer comes in and kind of gives you it's like
vision.
spin
a
doctors.
direction. Yeah,
Like, I mean, we produce our own stuff, right? So Chris will come. I mean, he plays acoustic guitar, right?
yeah.
And then Eric actually knows how to play guitar, so he
Yeah.
changes a couple things, and then we add all that stuff in there, and we kind of produces like Two Princes and Little
Yeah.
Miss Can't Be Wrong. He's on the street corner playing that. I mean, that's all it's ever going to be, and then we all get together, and then it becomes with Frank and Versa, of course, and it becomes that thing. There's another band I listened to. I listened to this whole trip was the Day Sleepers. I think I call.
I think I've heard Day
And they got like this
Sleeper or
funky,
maybe
crazy. It's like I,
think
don't know. It's like
they're kind of new. Or I mean,
I think they've been
recently,
around.
maybe like past 10 years or so.
it's like weird, like I don't know. I can't. It's just weird. It's like chill music, I guess.
okay.
A lot, everything I listen
Or
to.
is it not teen?
I don't
no,
want to
think
listen. I don't want to hear any guitar solos. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hear any crazy, distortion all the time. I'm
Some
easy
ambient.
I like
sort of band.
ambient music. That's right.
Yeah.
That's my thing. That's my thing. Ambient or disco.
Yeah, I'm there with you,
I
man.
like house music. I love anything with a beat.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And I like some of the classic stuff. Like I got my white boy list. Let me see what's
Oh.
What's a white boy?
Yeah, pull it out. Let's hear
so
it.
I wanted to ask, like, have you ever heard of Mr. Bungle?
No, let me see what's in
No.
my,
Oh man, I'm surprised. You know what I'm talking about, Mr. Bungle?
yeah, who's
From
the Mr. Bungle?
What's his name from Faith No More? No. I was looking up. I haven't heard him in a long time. I saw there's a video on YouTube.
You had to ask me what that guy's name is.
The singer from Faith No More.
Yeah,
well,
it's,
Who is that?
I forgot his name. I was watching a video about it
let me
yesterday
consult the
because I haven't
Google.
heard that album. It was their debut album. It's so fucking really. Oh man,
different,
It's
yeah.
avant garde, but it's just jazz infused
Well,
with like
that
some
whole-
carnival music. It's weird, man. It's fucking hilarious. They're just really out there. It's just interesting stuff around the time. It came out like in 91, 92.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
here we go.
Mr. Bungle was like, Faith No More like inspired so many '90s bands after them, and they didn't get any of the credit for them.
Right,
The Red
a
Hot
lot
Chili
of
Peppers
stuff,
wouldn't have
yeah.
been anything with. I mean, they pulled so much of their sound from Faith No More.
Well, I heard Faith No More really started the like rap metal kind of almost in a way.
Mike Patton. Is who you're
Yes,
talking
there we
about.
go. That guy. Yeah.
I have Plush.
Okay.
I love that song. I
Yeah,
got,
that's your
Even
white
Flow.
boy. That's definitely white.
I got Jeremy, which is one of
Ooh, Jeremy, ultra white.
my hero.
Oh,
Foo Fighters.
That's Foo Fighters is I think Foo Fighters
That's
is
the
our modern
epitome
day
of white.
Is our
Found Out
modern
About
day
You.
Beatles.
Found out about
Really?
you by the Jim Blossoms.
Oh, dude,
that's ultra-
I
this
love
is
that
wrong.
song.
You're talking ultra. This is ultra Rob right now. Like
Here we
I'm-
go again.
What about
White Snake.
Okay,
that's,
David Cope.
that is like
Is this love? White
yes,
Snake.
well, there, it's just,
You gotta be. You
that
gotta.
is that music video is
You got to be a white boy named
Right
Trevor
there.
No, no, no.
to really
You've got to
appreciate
really,
that.
you've really got to admire a guy that's
Take
willing
Me
to
Home
name
Tonight.
his band after his penis. You know what I mean?
Right.
Take me home tonight.
This sounds like
Yeah.
my band.
Eddie Money?
That's money.
This sounds like
That's
my
money.
band's, set list.
Don't don't fear the Reaper.
yeah
Okay.
very white.
Blue Oyster Cult, nice.
What's the other? What was the other one I got on here?
It's a good white boy list.
The
right
way it is. Bruce,
oh,
Bruce I can't pronounce his last name.
Is that Hornsby?
Yeah,
Hornsby,
yeah.
yes.
And I got
That's just the way it is.
That's just the way it is.
what was the eyes without a face?
Oh,
Billy
Billy
Idol.
Idol.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Nice.
Flesh for
Billy Idol.
Fantasy, baby. Yeah.
And I got the there's another band I like, the Corrs. You ever heard of them?
The what?
The Corrs.
The Coors?
They're like I guess they're English or Irish or
The Cars?
I me lad?
Cars,
The
I guess.
Coors?
Course.
I don't know how you pronounce
That was your accent? Maybe.
it. Yeah.
C-A-R-S? I don't know. I
So
just,
I
didn't
got
know.
a bunch.
The Cars
of,
are a great band.
I got Chicago.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
25,
I'm not
64,
Wishing you were here.
fucking-
Wishing you were here. Right, I got
Yeah.
that. And then I got a bunch of old stuff from the like the Mind Benders. Ever heard of them? And Simon and Garfunkel. I got that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's that Garfunkel record? He did a remake of some song. I can't remember the name. of
Oh,
it.
wait. He did or somebody else did?
No, he did.
No,
it.
no, he did it, but
It's a beautiful song, and he did a much better job. Let me find it because everybody should know that.
Have you heard the Mavericks?
No.
Mr.
Oh, man.
Bungle, man. I'm surprised. you
Mavericks.
heard-
is
I
what
got Van Halen Jump.
Yeah,
Oh,
of
that's-
course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
When
one
you
of my
want to commit
favorites.
suicide, yeah, you got to
Yeah,
have a
that's right.
song.
yeah. Got to have a record to that.
I
yeah.
came from a land down under.
Oh,
Minute
Minute
Work,
Work,
baby.
yeah.
minute work.
Who can it be? That's some great 80s.
Yeah,
you
man.
gotta check
Yeah.
out the Mavericks. Like from a musician standpoint, that's a great musicians band.
I got a
Like that
bunch
is
of,
that is a great band.
Who else do I have on here?
Yeah. Who else you got? 'Cause
Mark-
I kind of like the idea of you and the vet cruising to T Swift with a shotgun hanging out the window on the way to Cathay.
Katay.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I was growing up, I had a radio, like most kids,
Yeah.
and I didn't see black and white. Like my friends were all, they just listened to black music, whatever. I listened to everything. This
Right.
was long before I started playing bass. So I had a lot of, I loved the Beach Boys,
Yeah.
when I was a kid.
So if the song was good,
Beach
you were
Boys.
about it. Yeah.
Right, if the song was
Beach
good.
Boys.
Yeah, the song was good. It's like my favorite song was In My Room. That was my favorite song. And until this day, I still listen to it.
There you go.
And then Elton John, Benny and the Jets.
Love Elton John.
That was one of my favorite songs. And of course, when Bohemian Rhapsody came out, I was totally into that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
I
then
mean,
it was
you're-
Elvis Presley.
You're
we
talking my daughter's language, man. Elton John and Queen. My 9-year-old, oh my god.
But then when I started playing bass, I just got all into Parliament Funkadelic. I got into Rick
Yeah.
James. I
Prince.
was into
Oh,
Prince. The Commodores.
Unity.
Anything funk. Right. I was into all the funk. Because the bass is more prominent in that.
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
music. Then I
And
got into
disco too,
right?
baby.
I was in
Yeah.
a couple of disco bands.
I got into bass the wrong way, man. I started playing bass in punk rock bands.
Yeah, bro.
That's terrible.
And
Terrible.
That's terrible.
I had to learn about really good bass playing
Did you
way
hear that,
later on in
Rob?
life.
Mark White said that's terrible.
Well, it is what it is. It's,
I think I'm inclined to agree with him.
And,
Because I walked on a Blink 182 concert to go watch a fucking movie. Yeah.
oh, you know
Who gives
who
a
else?
shit about that?
I got Green Day.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I love
Yeah.
Green Day.
Yeah.
And I got check this out.
Now, come on.
Bon Jovi wanted Dead or Alive.
There it is.
Dead
that
Ultra
whole album.
Jacob.
That
You know what's great
a
about
album.
what's great about that video? I did all that stuff
Liar.
except for the girl part, except for getting the girls.
Oh, you're
Everything
talking
else-
about on your own.
He didn't. Yeah,
I don't
he's
know.
I
not.
thought you actually produced or was part
No,
of
no.
the
Like you see them on
work.
the tour bus, right? Did that?
Yeah.
They got the little private jet. Did that?
Did that.
Played in front of the stadium. Did that? Mm-hmm. the whole thing they're doing backstage. I was watching the video. I was like, oh my god, that's me.
That's
Seth.
the rock star life. You live that.
This is my
How was
life
actually
story. This is
backstage
crazy.
back then? I'm curious too. Like,
man, it
was it like what portrayed in films, like with the heroin slamming and the fucking hookers?
whoa,
bang?
Paul.
Well,
What
it depends.
happens
It depends.
backstage?
It all
Depends on the band?
Yeah, it depends on the band. We didn't
Aha.
have anything like that.
See?
We opened up. You remember Pauly Shore?
Yes, of course.
Oh,
Very.
We opened up for him, and he had
Go, Rob.
he had all the girls on his bus, and our bus was empty.
Pauly
Pauly
Shore.
Shore, you bastard!
I love Pauly Shore, man.
Yeah.
Squeezing the juice.
Yeah, he came to Houston. He came to
Damage.
Houston, and I went to go see him at the.
Improv?
I don't know. There's only one comedy club in Houston.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
saw him at the
Improv,
Improv
we
years
don't have a sense
ago.
of humor down here.
There's
right?
only one
I think I was there.
respectable
I was
comedy
there
club,
with you. It was years ago, right?
You're right.
I was at the
No,
Improv.
no, I
yeah.
saw Joe
He came
Rogan
out-
at the Verizon.
Well, no, he's
whatever.
talking about Pauly Shore.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't remember him coming in.
So he came out. He came out, and it was like this 5-minute, like bashed you over the head with like I was laughing so hard that I didn't even know what to do. I'd never seen a comedian come out and just like bang, 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 just knock everybody down. It was freaking awesome. And we opened up for him. We used to do a song with him called Lisa Lisa. We did the MTV Music Tour or whatever it was. The
Oh shit!
Alternative Nation.
That was back in the
Yep,
day
yep.
when
Was that
MTV
mid-90s
still
or
had
early 90s?
music on. That was
Shut
Really?
your
That's
whore
when
mouth.
their
I love
their
that.
names
That's
standing
why-
for
that's
what
why
they
we-
did. Yeah.
like I used to watch those hair bands. I was so jealous because I really liked the way they were doing things. They always had fun on stage. It was always a big stage, and I was kind of
yeah.
That's when I got into the what's that band? The other one, there was White Snake. What was the other one?
Motley Crue.
Motley Crue. I wasn't really into I just liked their vibe. You know what I mean? It's like I used to love watching those MTV videos.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there practicing the bass.
Have you ever read The Dirt?
No, I haven't.
Their book.
I wasn't into it that much.
You should.
There's a movie on Netflix.
There's a
Yeah.
movie that,
Right.
that is so tame compared to the actual book.
Right.
Like Motley Crue was like the epitome of rock star. Like the stories that came out of that band, and they all corroborate the same stories, and so it's just they didn't even have to try. Like it was
See,
just
those days are over now.
I know.
Yeah,
It's
that's why I
sad.
asked
You
you.
can't. They'll
with
never
the
come back.
backstage.
That's what I'm saying. That whole vibe, that whole thing.
Yeah.
is just-
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I just heard some boy band got his girlfriend broke up with him, and he canceled the tour. Like he couldn't do the
Really?
tour. Or whatever. I would have kicked his ass.
Care to say which boy?
I mean,
band, or?
I don't remember
all
which
the
band.
musicians that he probably had to hire are out of work for that.
And all-
That's
all-
the first thing that comes to my mind.
And now I'm watching these K-pop bands.
Yeah,
Like,
Korean, baby. Yeah.
And this stuff is really funny to me because there's 17 guys
Yeah.
on stage, right? I'm like, well, how did they
Yeah.
know if it's going to be 17 or 18 or 19? Like, who decides?
Yeah, the chicks are the same too. I got into K-pop a little for a while too, and there's
like-
like so fucking many of them.
It's like, what the hell? It's like, well, we got 10. Well, we really need 11.
yeah,
Let's go for 11.
one more. We need one more.
We need one more to
We're
fill
four
it
Well.
out.
shy of a really good K-pop band.
And nobody plays an instrument.
Yeah, no, but it's
Yeah.
all yeah.
No.
They're just
everybody's
up there
taking
dancing.
one voice register and like trying to harmonize and,
And they're all dancing and stuff. And
Yeah.
it's just like, but that's
Yeah.
where we are now.
Yeah.
You see, everybody's born into a certain era. Like you want to be you want to be born in an era where there's no wars, no calderas going off, and some super volcano going off and ruining everything. You want to be born like now, like I was born in the '60s, and so I got to experience the '60s, the '70s, the '80s, and the '90s.
So jealous.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? It's like I got to experience all of that, and I'm glad I did. But like I was born right now, it's just like I don't know what people are doing because
Yeah.
music is not the same.
No, it's
The
not.
vibe is not the same. That whole, we had the Cat Club in New York City. We had the Peppermint Lounge. We had CB. I was going to CBGBs. I used to live in CBGBs. I got to
that's where
experience
Green Day
all
started.
that. Right,
That-
that's what I'm saying. I got to experience all that
The
stuff.
Ramones,
That
all
grit,
that stuff.
the
That-
grit. The grit of everything. Like now, it's all
Yeah.
there's no grit. It's
That's
all,
what
Yeah.
I see. I grew up when I started
Super
playing
sensitive
bass and stuff
nowadays.
like that. Like I was playing punk and trying to put together a punk rock band that was like, like the Ramones or Green Day or like Dead Kennedys or like even like stuff
Forget
like
it.
or even like Jello Biafra was doing and like whatever like just like. And it just in Houston, like that shit didn't fly in the suburbs, bro. Like you couldn't find anybody.
Yeah, it's backed by your your background when you grew
Yeah,
up. too.
exactly.
Good luck finding that. I
Well,
mean,
Houston's not really. I
Well,
didn't
you
come down
can.
Houston, I didn't even come down here for music. I had stopped playing when I came down here.
Well, there's a lot of good music in Houston, but it's just different. You know what I mean?
Well,
like it's.
I haven't. When I first came down, I used to call it the 3 C's: Christian, country, and covers.
That's what it is.
Covers.
And that's it. There's no original music scene here, really. You know, so you can't see. New York City was. That's what New York City was known for. It was every band I was in was an original, and I was in maybe 1 or 2 cover bands, but we didn't even call them cover bands. It was like a top 40 band.
Yeah, that's what we call our band is top 40. Band. You know, but I mean, it's a lot of hobbyists, guilty, but that's what the music, quote unquote, the music scene is, and a lot of professional musicians in Houston that try to make a living being musicians complain about guys like me that, we have jobs and then we're just playing for fun, and we've oversaturated the market. Guilty, like I 100% agree. But
what are they complaining about?
Because they can't make any money, because there's guys that don't need the money that will play for nothing.
Oh, I see what you're doing. You're like, you're evil.
I don't do that. But there are
evil.
bands like I hold out, like our personally,
We got
like
that
our
on
band.
tape. Yeah.
Personally, like our
Rob's
band,
evil.
I won't play for less than what going rate should be.
That's the way the
But
world
there are a
is.
lot of bands that will. There are a lot of bands that they just want to play, and they're like, you know what, we'll play this shitty bar that Paul helps me run. I run live sound for bands also, so Paul's come out and helped me when we were down in Richmond playing for that band. You know what I mean? Like that. The owners, when we were down there, I was talking to them about our band, and they were like, yeah, we want to get you up here to play. You know what they offered our band to play there on a Saturday night at that place? $400.
That's right. I remember you told me on the
$400
price.
for a 5-piece band for 12 hours worth of work. After you talk about drive time, load in, sound check, band gets there, plays till 1 o'clock in the morning, tear down, drive out, all the way back here. 12 hours worth of work, $400 split between 5 people.
Ain't
We're
shit.
musical puppets.
Yeah.
That's all you are. You just, you learn how to play an instrument, and then
But there's people that'll do it, and
Yeah.
so that they that's why they keep paying that.
because some
Yeah.
people,
That's what sucks about the price.
some people. I mean, when we were coming up, I used to call it the Holy Grail, and that was like getting a record deal.
Yeah, that's
so-
what it was. I mean, that's still
Not
the
no
dream.
more.
That's-
Well, it seems different.
don't-
You don't need
now-
a, you don't need a
now it's
label
not.
anymore.
Back then when you got a label, you got a ton of cash. You got a bunch of, your friends all jealous, which is one of my favorite parts.
I bet.
And then it's just like, listen, for me to get a record deal was the most impossible thing ever. Like, I wasn't even thinking on that level. I mean, I don't even know how to think of yourself as the first person on Mars.
Wow.
Like, what's the chances of that?
Right. How would you take that?
That's
how would
how-
that
That's
look?
exactly how
Far
I
it
felt.
is.
There's no way that I would ever think that would even was a possibility. Like, I'm just me. I'm just a dude from the Bronx that plays bass.
Right.
I'm in all these bands, and nothing's happening. And I was in a band where we almost got, the guy was really trying really hard to get a record deal. It was called the Egyptians, Jeffrey, right? And he was selling his soul to get this record deal. Like, he did whatever he could. I had to quit. And I used to call it the Holy Grail because that's all they would think about was just trying to get this silly little record deal thing.
Yeah.
And then you get one, and then it's like everything that in my case, it was everything that I thought it would be. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It was like, oh my God, this is incredible.
First class.
Right, first class. But because we sold records. And see, that's what people don't realize. If you get that record deal and you don't sell records, you might as well have just walked into a sewer. The record deal is only good if you sell records. And that's what we figured out as we went on, because we started getting record deals and then we stopped selling records. So now it's better not to have a record deal. So
You don't have that hanging over your head.
right, because you don't want to have that.
It's a lot of pressure.
There's a lot of pressure. So if you just go out and if you put your stuff on YouTube I think you can. A regular person can just put their stuff on iTunes now. You can just put it on there, right?
Yeah, Spotify too.
Hey, we're on fucking iTunes and Spotify.
So now you don't have.
Amen, brother. Amen.
You don't have all that pressure, but we had pressure. There's a lot of. I didn't experience it because I didn't really care, but somebody
You
else.
seem like you don't care. I like that, man. That's a good trait.
It's a beautiful thing.
I wasn't waking up. Oh my God! I got to sell a record. I got to go out and convince people to buy this record. I was.
Well, you didn't tie yourself to your success. So like your happiness and your person, like that wasn't tied to
Right.
like how well you were doing musically or in your career.
Yeah, I was just having fun. I mean, nothing
That's
lasts
the
forever.
best way of looking
Yeah,
at
that's
it too.
good.
Nothing
Man.
lasts forever. So you just got to enjoy it while it
Yeah.
happens. And so I got to enjoy a lot of things. And one of my favorite things was just traveling. Like we had a tour bus. Like I didn't even know what those things were in the beginning. You know, I didn't know what people were. I didn't get it. And then we finally get on one. I'm like, oh my God, I'm on a tour. I was like the greatest thing ever. So we would go all the way out to California and do our last show, and those guys would all fly home. But I would take the tour bus home.
By yourself?
With me and the
Like
driver.
you and your wife? Or
Oh, really?
Yeah, me and the driver.
I would love that. I would take
Dude,
the tour.
I can't even
Fuck
tell you.
yeah, I
I can't
would.
even tell you how freaking awesome that was. So we're driving back from
I like
California to
driving.
New York, and it's just me.
Yeah, that's even better. It's just
Right.
fucking you and the
It's just-
driver.
I got
That's
the whole
it.
fucking bus to myself.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Just fucking doing fucking cartwheels and
I mean,
shit.
it's
That'd
just
be
like
me. If I was in that
fucking-
band, that'd be exactly what I was doing. Just be hanging out on the
So
bus.
I couldn't wait for the last day, so those buttheads would get off the damn bus so I could have it to myself.
This is my bus,
Get off my
motherfucker.
fucking
Fuck off my
bus.
goddamn bus.
So
Make
just-
the bed, you son of a bitch.
Yeah,
I gotta sleep in that tomorrow.
So like so we had a tour in New York City. We had the bus. You know, Alan Thrasher was our bus driver. Me and him are friends till this day, right? I love this
Nice.
guy. He's from Alabama.
Good
so I
people.
I drove my car to his house, left my car there, and then me and him drove up to New York to get the rest of those guys. Then we did the tour, and then I just drove back down with him with the bus, and I got my car. So for me, being on a bus was like the greatest thing. Like even now, like remember I'm driving late at night, going from one gig. I pass a lot of tour buses at night. This is the summer season,
Right.
so I'm passing a lot of tour buses. Right, I'm just driving my little Corvette. I was like, oh fuck. I don't know if I want to be in my Corvette or if I want to be in the tour bus. It's like I'm torn, right?
yeah, that's. Oh man, I feel so bad for you. I mean, that's such
What
a
if I'm
terrible
on a-
place to be torn between. Do I want to be on this luxury tour bus or this nice fucking Corvette?
Right.
Oh my
He's at a
god.
crossroads in life here,
Yeah.
man. It's really-
I mean, what if I'm on a tour bus and I'm sitting in the window with my headphones on, listening to music and practicing the bass, and a Corvette goes by? I'm going to be like, I wish I was in a Corvette. Like, I don't know what I would be thinking.
That's true.
I think I would rather be on the bus, to be honest with you. I
Right.
love the bus. It's a great
Let
thing
somebody
to
else
have.
drive, relax.
You know, it's a great thing to have. And so that's the only thing. That's the one thing I miss, because these guys will never get on the bus. They will never do it again. So that's the one thing I actually miss more than anything.
Yeah.
Is the freaking bus. But I have my car, and so this, as long as there are Buc-ee's around or something, I'm good.
So just
Yeah,
we're,
Buc-ee's
we're,
is kryptonite.
We're running out of time, but I had one last question for you.
What's that?
So I know I kind of mentioned it a couple of times earlier, but one of my fondest memories of your band, the Spin Doctors, is the time that you guys rewrote your hit song "Spin Doctor" or the Two Princes to appear on
Sesame
CBS,
Street.
Sesame Street.
Right.
Am I delusional? Did you have dreadlocks?
No, I had long hair.
You had long hair, right? It's something like that. I remember there was something going on. I was like, visually,
Right.
when I started talking to you on Facebook and stuff, like I was like, visually, Mark White is not the same Mark White that I remember from like, and I had to go back and find that video. I was, and anyway, so how do you? I mean, I'm assuming this had more to do with like the label than like you guys having input on, but like you're going to such an iconic thing. Like, I mean, being on Sesame Street, I put it up there like with being that level of recognition is on par with being like having your song covered by Weird Al.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's better than any Grammy, or anything like that. You know what I mean? So like, how does that, how did that come about? Like, did your record company call you? Your manager call you? Like,
That's how it always. Don't you know how things work?
No, I don't. That's
I'm going
why
to tell
you-
you. This is how it works.
We're about to go to school
You're
right
just
now.
laying there. You're just laying there in your house.
Yep.
I'm probably playing a video game or something,
Right.
or I'm waking up. There was no email back then.
yeah,
Hey, you're going to be on Sesame Street this week. That's it.
Yeah.
this
Hey,
week.
You know what?
No prep time, nothing. Just
Nothing.
say y'all are going to
You know
show
what?
up.
Like Saturday Night Live. Somebody called me up and said, "Hey, you're going to be on SNL," and I almost had a heart attack.
Wow.
That was like the greatest thing ever for me. That was the greatest. That made Sesame Street look like I was just going to a taco stand. Right? It just didn't matter. For me, being on SNL was the greatest thing ever.
Who was the host of the week you were on SNL?
What's this guy's name? Joe Pesci.
Come on.
Oh, come on.
And you know what's funny?
You
We've been watching Goodfellas on the
That
bus.
whole night. The
Fuck
whole week.
right.
We
Fucking shine
Almost
box.
Go
every
get your
night we
fucking
were watching
shine
Goodfellas
box.
on the bus. Like it was on a DVD and we just never took it out.
Fuck yeah.
And we were
Such
just
a good
watching
movie.
it. And so then we get on Saturday Night Live and it's like freaking Joe Pesci. So if you watch it, at the end, when we all wave goodbye, which was the greatest moment of my entire life,
Amen.
was standing on stage and waving good. I always, I watch Saturday Night Live all the time. And I'm talking to,
That's your hometown, New York.
yeah,
man.
and I'm
That's-
talking to Martin Scorsese. And I'm telling him, dude, you're not going to believe this, but we've been watching this movie every day on the bus.
Yeah.
And he starts laughing. If you watch it, you see him laughing. That's why he's laughing, because I'm telling him.
Oh, he was there?
We're gonna have to cut that.
Yeah.
We'll make Jacob find that and cut that and put
Fuck
that up
yeah,
on the
we
Facebook
will.
page.
It's
for
pretty,
that.
it's pretty amazing. And the funny thing is that when I was a kid, me and my father were watching TV like in the 70s, and he was switching the channels like the old way. You had to get up and do it, right?
Yeah.
And so he switched it, and there was this like stupid commercial on, and we were like, "What the hell? This doesn't even make any sense, right?" So he stopped, and we were watching it, and it turns out it was SNL.
Oh.
So then the next week we fell for it again.
Yeah.
It was just stupid commercial. We're like, what the hell? And it was like,
Fuck
oh,
is
it's
this?
that crazy TV show that just came on. So we were huge SNL fans, me and my pops. We used to watch it every Saturday. So, this is when Richard Pryor was on there.
Hell yeah.
The golden
Joe,
years.
what's the other guy's name? The one that died. John
John
Belushi.
Belushi.
John
John
Belushi. That's when it was
Gilda
back.
Radner.
Gilda Radner, right. So we were cracking up and the best part was the commercials, those fake ass commercials.
Yeah, you had the best of the best.
Right.
Yeah,
So it's like
there.
we were watching it.
Samurai Deli. Back
So I was always a huge SNL fan. So for them to call me up
Oh, hell yeah.
and say you're going to be on SNL was just insane. Like I couldn't even believe it. And we did our thing. I wasn't even nervous. Like those guys were nervous, but I wasn't nervous.
No.
Did it. And then we did David Letterman a few times. Howard Stern. So when I was a kid, I used to listen to Howard Stern all the time.
When you were a kid, you listened to Howard Stern?
Yeah, like when he was 15, my friend turned me on to him. The guy who turned
Howard
me on to
Stern's
drums.
been around
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. So we used to
70s.
listen to it. It was completely offensive, right? It was beautiful. We used to love all the stupid jokes and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So we go into Howard Stern, and I'm married to this beautiful blonde white girl, right?
Right.
My favorite.
And my favorite, right?
It's the Polish chick, right?
No, this is the one before the Polish.
The one
chick.
before the
Oh.
Polish chick.
Like, I've been
Okay.
married 3 times, right? So this is
My man.
This is my Canadian
A.
hottie, right?
There you go.
Freaking insane hot, right?
There you go. I'll find mine one day.
So those guys, so Gary goes back to the green room and sees her. He goes, "Oh man, the bass player's got a white girl." Right?
I didn't get one of those. Was that in your dressing room? I didn't get one of
So
those.
bass player's got this hot blonde back there. So they they go get her.
Right.
So she comes out, and that's all we're talking about now. So see, the thing is, like, I'm from New York City, so I know how Howard Stern operates. Those guys don't know anything, so they're all pissed off now because they actually thought we were going to. So how long you guys been together? So who started?
Not
who
on
wrote
Howard Stern.
Not on
Right.
exactly.
It's
Right.
gonna be, they thought it was going to be this
No
interview.
fucking way.
No, no,
But
no.
on Howard
That is
Stern.
not surprising that Howard Stern would do that.
So
That
always-
seems like his style.
So he's like, so why did you marry her?
Right. Who made the
'Cause
move
she's white.
first?
So how come black guys always marry white girls when they get famous?
Right.
When they get money. Is it, this
He
is the
asked
whole.
you that?
Yeah, he went the whole 9 yards, man.
I'm not
We're going to have to go
surprised.
find that interview.
If you can find that, please find it, because I swear to God, it was so freaking. And then you can see the guys in the band like this. They're looking all.
What the fuck?
They ain't happy. It was hilarious.
You got all the attention, or
Right.
your wife did.
Yeah,
Basically.
but that's what Howard Stern does. I mean, they just went back there and it's like, oh man, I was like, oh my God, here we go. And I knew exactly what was going to happen now. I completely forgot that. Because I was
Is that how he operates?
yeah, I just because I was so excited to be on Howard Stern. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe we were on there. And
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be talking about the band. So Eric, what's your favorite strings to use? What kind of strings do you use on your guitar?
No.
Chris, how did you write that song? Or Aaron, what kind of drum heads are you using? None of that.
Nobody
Not
gives a shit
Howard
about
Stern.
that.
Fuck
No.
no.
What's y'all's favorite position? What do y'all?
He found his
like
niche
that,
quickly for you guys for that episode particularly immediately, which by your wife.
Fuck, I
unfortunately.
shouldn't have brought anybody
It's
out
just
here.
like totally freaking amazing. It's
Yeah.
just great. So those are some of the things that those shows that we did that I was. Sesame Street was fine. I remember I wasn't so happy. I remember I went on there and it just.
I think I'd be happy.
I don't think the vibe. I was expecting like the Sesame Street from when I was a kid,
Ah,
Yeah.
and it didn't look like that. So I was a little weirded out a little bit.
Was it
Yeah,
like a bunch of like
that'd be
super,
the same
like
for me
was it a
right
bunch
now,
of
too.
like super like be here. Don't say this. Don't do this.
No,
you know?
it was. I don't remember anybody giving us any instructions or anything like that. Nowadays. I just saw that Dave Chappelle
Sticks and Stones.
last night.
I
Man.
love
that.
On the full
I love
floor.
Dave Chappelle.
Juicy Smollett.
Yeah, you see, Smollett.
Juicy Smollett.
I haven't
Je
seen it.
suis-
Don't ruin it. I haven't
It's just
seen
a name.
it.
Yeah. Oh, just
It's just
remember
a
you.
name.
But when I was in New
Just
York
remember, you
City,
clicked on my face.
I was in New York City, and he came in. I was in another band, and he came in there, and he took over the stage and started making fun of us.
Yeah.
What?
Long-
Dave Chappelle?
Yeah, before he was famous.
Oh my god.
It was crazy.
That's awesome. I would love to be insulted by Dave Chappelle. That's a
Oh,
legend.
yeah, me too.
That's
Yeah.
cool. That's
He was
awesome.
totally making fun of us. I
Yeah,
wish
if
I
you've
might
got
have
his
recorded
number,
that.
like we'd love to interview him. Yeah, just remember.
That dude he is so funny, and I'm so glad that he's not falling into the I gotta be
Exactly.
the PC clique. Yeah,
Oh, my
fuck
God.
that.
It's got to be.
Stay
listen,
strong, baby.
I had white friends, black friends, Asian, all kinds of friends, and we all made fun of each other all the time.
You're supposed to, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
That's
love,
what friends
baby.
do.
Right.
That's what love is, baby.
And we all had nicknames like we had an Italian guy, and we used to call him Meatball.
Yeah. You're supposed to.
What?
You're supposed
Right.
to call people
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You know, and then
That's
we had.
right.
I mean, Jake's not here tonight, but I mean, he's Mexican, and we call him Pablo. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
yeah, I call my Mexican friends Taco.
oh, that's
You speak taco.
They call me Watermelon. So who cares? I mean, it's all we're just having a good time.
Yeah.
It's just a joke, you know,
Yeah.
like it's just a
Take
fucking
it
little
as a joke.
jab.
That's exactly
That's
what it
it.
is.
I love offensive humor. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
Anthony
this is
Jeselnik,
your
maybe.
this is your podcast.
Yeah.
Everybody.
That's specifically why I call him Paul Mooney.
Yeah.
I saw Paul.
I
Man,
love Paul Mooney.
We saw Paul Mooney. Me and my hot second wife. Right. We saw Paul
Nice.
Mooney in Long Island. I mean, in Los Angeles.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we literally watched the whole crowd
Yep.
walk out.
Oh,
And it was
I
just
love
me and
Paul
her, and
Mooney.
we was like praying that he didn't see us. Thank
I
God.
love Paul Mooney.
Because he's attacking everybody.
Right, he was attacking everybody. So if he
Yeah.
sees me with your ass, man, we're going down.
Damn.
We're done. We're done.
I sat in front row. Me and my dad years ago at the Improv here in Houston. He did like an extended set. It was fucking
Yep.
great. And I'm surprised he didn't go after us. Like we were like front and fucking center. Like
Right.
he didn't attack us
well,
at all. But he
sitting
was just cool as
sitting
shit.
down, y'all look normal. But I mean, it's when
Fuck you.
It's when you
I know
stand
you're
up and
going.
you walk under the
Shut
tables
up.
that it's.
We're
Yeah,
tall
he-
dwarves. All right, give us a fucking
I don't
break.
even
Tall
know-
for our people.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
I don't even know why we were in
Russell.
there. When I think about it now, like, why the hell did we even go in there?
Because it was going to be fun.
No, I
Oh,
don't even know.
yeah. Comedy.
I don't even know why we were in there because I would never go see a guy like that.
No.
Who, Paul Mooney?
Yeah, I wasn't.
He's very offensive though,
Love Paul Mooney.
Yeah, I know, but I wasn't.
but not his style.
Yeah, I wasn't into his style too much. But then we went. I was in there, so I don't know why. Maybe somebody else was there and he was on after them or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could have been. But he was definitely funny. It was definitely a. It was a. But I'm telling you, people walked out.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Like, this is California
How
back
long-
in the
but-
'90s.
Damn, in the
Yeah.
90s?
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
walking out, man.
Wow, I thought it was like maybe like 10 days ago or something.
no,
No,
I'm like,
dude.
Jesus.
No,
Even California's been pretentious since pretentious was before it was.
Yeah, but
even
they're
in
very
the-
sensitive
they
too,
created-
man. Like all
Exactly.
this
That's-
victim culture
That's why
bullshit.
But that's all started from their pretentiousness. I mean, and they've been pretentious
Man.
since before that word was in the dictionary.
I mean, they're just trying to ruin everything.
Yes, they're
Yeah.
trying to mandate and control everything over our fucking lives. I'm sick
I mean,
of
you
that
see
shit.
me on Facebook, right? I mean, I'm always.
Oh, yeah.
I'm constantly dealing with my little
I, s-
friends.
I see that you're
man.
very, yeah. What's it called?
Conservative?
No, not that. But just
I mean,
like
yeah.
Well,
but
yeah.
I don't
very
take any
outspoken.
shit.
But like
Right.
you fuck them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
you stand when you
Because
speak
I
what you
can't-
for, what you think. You know,
I can't deal with bullies. I mean, if you're going to bully me,
Yes.
I'm defiant. You know, we talked.
We
about
talked
that
about
Yes.
that
earlier.
earlier.
I'm a-
yeah,
so
that's-
that liberal shit doesn't work with me. You can't tell me what to do. I
Yes.
won't do it. And it's my favorite line. You ever seen The Princess Bride?
oh yeah.
My favorite line in The Princess Bride is "Death first."
Yep.
I'm not
Yeah.
complying. I'm not.
bitch.
going-
Don't tell me what to do.
Don't tell me what to do. And
Yes.
that's what they do. That's what liberals always do. They're always telling you what to do.
Yeah.
My friends are actually
Fuck
telling me,
you,
Mark, you should
yeah.
stop posting that. Why don't you
Why?
make me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Make me
Why?
make me stop posting it. Why should I post it? Because you don't like it? don't look at it.
Exactly. People act like they don't have a fucking choice when it comes
Right.
to these things. I was talking about this last week on our episode. Like, when it comes to comedy, when people are offensive about certain things, like, look, you don't have to like it, but don't ruin for everybody else. If you don't like
Just
it,
don't
just don't
fucking
listen
watch
to
it.
it.
Yeah,
Don't
right.
watch it.
I mean, what the hell are you
or
looking
don't
at?
be subjective to it. If you don't just leave, if you're there, like at a comedy show, don't ruin it for everybody else's fun.
Right.
It's just a fucking joke at the end of the
Right.
day.
Paul likes to watch all male bukkake. If he wants to do
Yes.
that, let him do it.
Damn.
Just because it's not
I mean,
what
there's
you're
a lot
into.
of offensive shit on TV right now, right? There's all kinds of weird stuff or whatever. I mean, my friends are all, they're all anti-Trump or whatever. I don't get upset. Orange man, this and this.
Orange man, bad.
I don't get on that page and start. Cause I don't care. See,
Yeah.
why should I care? I mean, that's the reason why I moved down to Texas. I came down here because I felt like for the first time in my life I was free. Like I'm free down here.
Yeah.
The police down here are nothing like that. Well, I had some great I had some great cops in New York City, but like it's the laws. You see, the police are just a tool.
Right.
They just have to enforce the stupid laws that whoever these politicians are.
Yeah.
And so down
Arbitrary.
here, right? So down here in Texas, we don't have the same stupid laws that they have up in the city where
Yeah.
you can't do this, you can't.
Well,
do
they're
that. I'm looking at that.
they're
More
constantly
common sense.
changing.
But
Right.
not only
So
that, but
a lot of the time, so like, I don't know if you posted this earlier or somebody else on my post. Anyway, somebody was posting something earlier about, how can it takes a lawyer 6 years to learn the law. How can a cop learn it in 6 months?
Right.
It's not a cop's job to learn the law in 6 months. It's their job to enforce the law to what they think the law is.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? Like it is perfectly what we consider as a society. Like we hold cops to a higher standard and we're like, okay, you just ticketed this guy or arrested him for something that was perfectly legal. Well, you know what? That's fine. Like that's what lawyers are for. That's why we have due process.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that's the cop is out here trying to do what he's trying to do to keep the peace, to serve and protect. You know what I mean? Cut the guy a fucking break if he doesn't know the letter of every fucking single law that gets changed every single fucking day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's the other thing too. I've been pulled over before. I'm big as shit. In the middle of the night, this small state trooper pulls me over. I got both my hands out the window because I'm not playing any games. I want you to know that I'm not doing anything. You're not
Right.
doing anything. It's just two people having a conversation. If you want
Right.
to pull me over from my seatbelt or whatever, come on, bro. Yeah, we can fight that later.
Right. Exactly. That's
It's
how
a
I feel.
compliance thing, right? Yeah.
I got pulled over and the guy was like, "Hey, you're." He was back there for a while. And he says, "Man, there's like 10 warrants out for your arrest or something. I'm like a drug dealer or something like that."
What?
And whatever. And this is like, and you know what I was thinking in my mind? I'm just going to call David Sonnenberg and have him take care of it.
Right.
Where were you
That's my
at when that
manager.
happened?
I think I wasn't in Texas. I was somewhere
Good.
else. But I was just like, and then he finally figured it out and they
Yeah.
checked my car. He saw I had a base in there, whatever. And I was like, well, I don't do drugs, so I don't know what but I was mistaken identity or whatever, right? So that was fine. But I didn't, when he said that, I had all these warrants out and I was wanted, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I just said to myself, well, I'll just let David take care of it.
Right.
So that just means I have to go down to the jail or whatever. I was willing to go through all of that stuff because I know that I'm innocent and I got people, and I'll just let them take care of it.
I feel like the more
Absolutely.
people act out, the more guilty they are.
Well,
Well, you know what?
But that's I mean, I get that that's a super like I shouldn't think that because it's not true in most cases, but I mean,
Some people get defensive very easily.
I mean,
Yeah,
But
too.
for me to
I see your
curse
point,
out a
though.
police officer is just impossible.
those
For
people
me,
have the hardest
like I
fucking
can't
jobs.
even believe I could never even
Yeah.
think of
I've had some
getting
shitty stops though.
getting
before,
getting
but yeah.
crazy. I mean, I've had some too, but for me to
But
to
I don't
get,
think it's the same as all. Yeah.
to get bazookas on a police. I mean, I've seen
Yeah.
people going like I could never talk to an officer like that.
No,
And I
I've
asked
never
my
done
friend-
that either.
I asked
Even
my
as much
friend-
as they piss me off.
I said, let me ask you a question. How long should a police officer wait while you're resisting arrest before he pops you in the head with the nightstick? Like, what's the time limit?
right.
It's
an
just,
appropriate
just
time.
don't resist. If I was a police officer and you started resisting, I would knock you out. Like there was a
I wouldn't listen to a goddamn word you were saying.
Right.
Like if you're calm,
You can't
like
fight
if
I
you're
mean, that's how
calm
you
and
fight
be
in the
like,
court,
hey,
yeah.
like if you're gonna cuff me and search me, whatever, you know what I mean? Like let's talk about this like two rational human beings. Like I'm not gonna fight you. Like be like, officer, can we talk about this? Like I'm not resisting you here. Like put me in
And if
cuffs,
you're-
whatever.
if-
Let's talk about this. You may have to spend 20 minutes in handcuffs, but I guarantee you, like if you didn't do anything wrong, most of the
They'll
time
figure it out.
They'll
Yeah,
figure it out.
Right. And then you'll get to you'll get your apologies, whatever. And, because you live in a society where you have to. There's laws, and you just sometimes things happen. I mean, what was that pastor, the black pastor who they asked him to come down and go through some police exercises or whatever,
Right.
and he
Yeah.
right, and so like
They
if
asked him to go through-
I'm an officer and you're walking towards me and I tell you to stop and you keep walking, I'm pulling out my gun and I'm shooting you.
Right.
It's just that simple.
Right.
I'm not going to sit there and wait for you to get over there. I'm not going to tase you. I'm not going to do nothing. I'm going to pull out my gun and I'm going to shoot you because you shouldn't be walking towards me in the first place. I would never walk towards a cop. That's inconceivable to me.
Right. Not like that. Right.
Not for anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? If he says to me, get on the ground, I'm going to get on the ground. I always love when people get pulled over. They suddenly become deaf and they can't understand English.
Right.
It's ridiculous to me. The
And
cops,
everybody becomes a road scholar, and everybody
gotta
knows
be
every line of the law.
right.
I'm a traveling inhabitant. Bitch, get out of the car.
And having to repeat everything. Police officers don't can I see your driver's license? I'm like, huh? Excuse me, what? Why do you need to see that? I don't do that. I just give it to him. You see, but if I'm like this guy, and this you saw it, right? He
Right.
shot the dude.
Yep.
He shot him after because you can't shoot an unarmed man. I'm shooting you.
So he's a community leader, and he goes through officer training where they have this suspect, and the guy's at the back of his vehicle, and he's and the community leader guy has his gun drawn, and he's saying, hey, stop, come here, and the guy's coming at him like hardcore, and he shoots the shit out of him, and the dude has nothing on him. But in the instant, and the takeaway from it at the end is that the guy says, yeah, I didn't realize how hard that was or what that entailed until I went through that
It's
and really
easy
felt...
to analyze that shit for fucking 6 months afterwards and
Right.
walk through every second of the video.
Everybody's a Monday morning
Yeah, oh yeah,
quarterback, right?
everybody's
Yeah.
just fucking everybody's an armchair quarterback and can sit there and be like, well, you could have done this, you could have done this.
No.
You weren't there. You
Right.
weren't there at night with nothing else around. You don't know this person. You're not in that situation, having gone through all of these things before that.
Right.
But it's just common sense. If you have a gun and somebody's walking towards you and you don't shoot them, then they're going to get the gun.
Right.
And then what happens?
And they're going to shoot you.
You don't know what this person's doing. If this person's already not complying and you're pointing a gun at him, I mean, you got to shoot them. I mean, what else are you supposed to do? I mean, if somebody could tell me something else, I would be glad to listen to them.
Right.
But, some people get tased and they keep coming. Some
Yep.
people use spray pepper, in there, they keep coming. And a police officer, you don't even know if this guy is some sort of trained, you don't know anything. He's walking towards you.
Right.
And the only thing you can do is shoot them. And you're not going to be aiming for a leg. You're just going to put him down because that's what you need to do. Because nobody in their right mind should be walking towards a police officer that has his gun drawn.
Right.
That's the bottom line. That's common sense.
What do you need me to do?
Right. What do you need me to do? Get on the ground. I get on the ground.
Done.
Now, I've been asked to step out of my car plenty of times.
Oh, yeah.
And I just step out.
Yep.
One time I stepped out and it was freezing. I said, can I get my jacket? And they was like, yes, you can. And I went and got my jacket, and that was it. They didn't even check it. They just, I asked but I was standing out there until I was freaking shivering. And I was like, all right, I got to. Sometimes, the thing in Texas, you got to have a front license plate on the front of your car.
Yeah, I got that shit before too.
And she pulls me over, and I was like, I'm never going to put that on the front of my car.
That ruins the car. God damn.
Did you
says-
see this car?
And she says, well, why not? I said, because I don't want to look like a doofus. I don't look like Bugs Bunny coming down the road.
Right.
That's what it looks like. And she started laughing. And I've gotten a few tickets, but one of the tickets I got, I was going to a party. I was going to KFC to get me some fried chicken. So I was going to the party, and I get there, and it just so happens my friend's friend is a DA. So he gives her the ticket, and she's like, oh, I know this guy. And she rips it up.
Yeah.
Because that was a doofus ticket. I mean, $30 for a front. I look at it as a tax. So if I have to pay it, I just pay it.
That's what it is. I mean, it's just an extra tax.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think they're
Luxury vehicle tax.
They're trying to change the law. Like, do you guys know how they changed the 75-mile-an-hour speed limit? Did you know how we got that?
No.
No.
One of our state people, leaders, went on a vacation out to New Mexico, and it goes to 75 all the time. Like, remember we used to have 90 at night. It was 65.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
So it gets darker here in Texas. Everywhere else it doesn't get as dark. That's
Right.
the reason why we have 65, because you can't see anything in Texas.
Yeah.
It's darker. Get it? So he
Headlights work less.
God's country.
Apparently, yeah.
So he realized that. So when he got back, he got rid of the 65, and he just made it 75. because he's none. 70 from here all the way to California, 75.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for Texas, it's 65 at night.
Right.
There's some spots now that are 80, just straight 80.
Well, that's
I
from
thought it was
yeah.
85.
Well, that's from
that might be
Austin.
during the
Is that
day.
from
but-
like?
No,
is
no,
that on
that's-
I-10? And,
No,
like,
that's on from Austin to
Okay, no, I'm thinking of somewhere else.
Yeah.
it's up
I was
there. But
confused.
80 is from San Antonio to El Paso. It's 80.
Oh, it is on I-10.
Yeah, it's
Right.
80.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'd use it all the time. And believe me, it's glorious.
Oh, I bet it is.
I got stopped one
I've been
time.
on that
You got
round in
10
a long
over?
time, man.
I
Roll
got
10
stopped.
over on the whole way there.
No, you can't do 10 over.
but you
can't-
could though. You should.
No, you can't because
No.
I was.
I
Just
mean, you should, though,
I was
yeah.
just on 30 going from Dallas to Texarkana, and I got pulled over for doing 83 and a 75. And the cop was really nice. I didn't get a ticket. I just got a warning. Right, everything was chill because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And he said to me, "Listen, man, they're pulling people over for doing 80. So do go under 80 because even 5 miles an hour is they don't like that." So I kind of. But one time I was on I-10 and I got pulled over for doing. This is when it was 65 at night, and I got pulled over for doing 73. And I was the only one out there. It was just me and this cop with this big nose. And he was like, "You got to watch your speed." And he says, "Boy, is this here your vehicle?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." "You got to watch your speed." I'm like, dude, I'm doing 73 to 65 in my head.
Yeah. Right.
I don't
Right.
say nothing out
Nothing.
loud. All I want to do is get back in my car and get the hell out of there, right?
Yeah.
Right.
He didn't even give me a ticket.
Was it in the middle of the desert,
It was
like near El Paso?
I know exactly where it was. It was near Ozana.
Yeah.
Ozana. Okay.
Yeah, it was way out there, right? At 4:00 in the morning. This dude's out there looking for what?
Nothing.
UFOs?
Yeah.
He's
There's
pissed off
nothing
that he
out
had
there.
I
to wake
literally-
up to pull you over.
I
going
literally
there
did
for
not see a
overtime.
car anywhere around me. There was
There's
no cars.
nothing
There's
out
nothing
there.
out. Dude, 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
You'd be lucky.
I know that road.
You don't see nothing. It's crazy.
That's what I love about Texas. I tell you what, I got a there's a my family's from Hearn, Texas, and the cops go home at 6 p.m.
That's great.
Yeah.
Everybody's off at 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And
I-10.
so, wrapping it up, Mark, we just wanted to say thank you for coming all the way out
Yes.
here
For
and
having
sitting
me.
with us
Really
and talking
appreciate it.
with
It was
us.
fun.
Absolutely.
This has been fucking fantastic. I can't actually.
Amazing.
We're coming up. This will be our 49th episode when it airs.
Nice.
So we're coming up on big number 50. But anyway, so this has been another episode of Gentlemen No Class. I'm Rob.
I am Paul.
I'm Big Josh.
And I'm Mark White from the Spin Doctors.
Oh yeah.
Mark, thank you again for coming out and joining us. We will catch you guys on the next one.
Thank you.